Roll call, Diane, please.
Ryan. Here. Daniil.
Here.
Andrews.
Here.
Gross.
Here.
Kabansky.
Here.
McIntyre here. Ferretti.
Here. I'd like to make a move to accept the minutes of the previous minutes on December 6th. All in favor?
I second. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you. And also move to waive Robert's Rules of Order. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Please shut off your phones today during the meeting. All right, okay. Anyone got a phone with them, please make sure it's off. Thank you. Okay, we got a lot to talk about today. There's about 8 items on the agenda. We'll start off with board comments first, and I'll be delayed as usual. Just a few things that I'd like to go over quickly. First of all, thanks to Chuck Parks and a few others, the bocce courts were ready to go. Chuck helped us out, and he power washed the court. Did a great job. And also, don't forget Frank Swirsky's doing a lot of work putting together our new garbage boxes, doing a great job. As you know, we had 50, and they were put together by a lot of volunteers. You should have seen it was like an assembly line out here. And we got all the boxes done in a matter of a couple of days put together. Now what we're doing now is bringing them out to the buildings and setting them up, leveling them off, putting the stone down, and whatever else is needed, breaking up the hole that held the garbage pails previously and filling it in. Once we get that all done, we'll get another 50 boxes, and we'll start to do the same thing again. Everyone will have their garbage boxes done soon. Our annual meeting will take place on March 5th at 1 o'clock in the main clubhouse. Remember, you need your Monterey badge to enter the meeting. As you know, it's election time for board members. There are 3 two-year spots available. Any resident interested in running for the board must submit a written application to the office before January 25th. Remember, that's important, because if you come down on 26th and you haven't got your application in, you won't be accepted and you won't be able to run. So remember, if you're looking to run for the board, and it's healthy, the more people running, the more choice the community has. We encourage everybody to run for their board if they're so inclined. Remember, you have to have it in the office by the 25th. Each candidate will also have to submit an information qualification sheet. It's just a little synopsis or a resume, and that will be included in the mailing of the ballots. That has to be in by January 29th. Check the office for more information. Thank you. Okay, just a little heads up about the Neil Diamond tribute. Claire and I are hosting a tribute. This will be the 4th time we had this show. We're sold out every time. We expect to sell it out again. If you haven't gone, give it a try. You'll really enjoy it. Cost is $15 a person. It's bring your own snacks and bottle, of course. All who attend, anybody who attends has to be vaccinated. You must be vaccinated. When you get your tickets, we'll ask you if you've been vaccinated. If you respond yes, you're fine. You don't have to verify it. We'll take it. It's an honor system, so please make sure if you want to get a ticket, you have to be vaccinated. We are also planning to check the temperature of those who enter the event. We want to be very safe. And if you have any questions, just give me a call. I'll be glad to fill you in. Check the Channel 63. There's some flyers on there and the tickets, when the tickets will be sold. This Thursday, January 13th, 6 o'clock in the main clubhouse parking lot, Dancing Under the Stars. Bring your own bottles, snacks, and chairs. Hopefully the weather will be nice. It's a good time. Anytime we have that party, it's a good turnout and a lot of fun. So this Thursday, a couple of days, January 13th, 6 o'clock. Sunday, January 16th, 1 to 3 p.m. at the Yacht Club parking lot is our 50th anniversary legacy mural dedication. Appetizers and wine will be served. Hopefully artist Brenda Lee will be there, and it should be a fun time. Come on down. Remember, January 16, 1 to 3. It's on posted as well as on 63. And one more that's coming up soon, the Italian pasta dinner, January 30th at 5 p.m. at the Yacht Club. Tickets will be sold later today, I believe, about 11 o'clock starting, and then later on in next week, I believe. So some nice events that are happening for our community.
Gene,
Yeah,
it hasn't been stated, but we do have to be vaccinated.
okay, thank you. You heard Camille, she's the chef, or the head chef, anyway. So, actually, not too long ago, a couple of months ago, there was board approved unanimously that on any events, you must be vaccinated to attend. It's for everybody safely. And actually, we have probably over 90 people, 90% of the people here in Monterey that have been vaccinated. So, thank you for your cooperation. I'm going to say a few words about our new virus and a few other things. I like to keep up to date, and especially since we have some people watching at home. These are information that I've gathered as I usually do from, the internet or the newspapers or whatever. So it's information that we all should be informed about. Excuse me. Martin County is at high risk all presently right now. With this Omicron, we have to be a little careful. We have had a dramatic increase in those infected by this virus as well as admitted to our local hospitals. However, the deaths are remaining very stable at a low 1.4%, which is probably, we can point to the fact that our health aides like doctors, nurses, and experts have gotten to know a little bit about the virus and are starting to be able to handle it well, a lot better. Also the hospitals. So, thing to be aware though, we still have to be aware. Some Martin County statistics. This is for ages 65 and older. In Martin County, 65 and older, 92% are fully vaccinated. All other age groups average about 65%. The seniors are getting the job done when it comes to getting your vaccinations. This is a couple of other statistics about those over 65 in Martin County. New infections, 22%, an average of 22%. This is the lowest of all the age groups. The seniors are it's a big group though. That's why the numbers are high, but the seniors, 22%. That's the lowest age group in the group. The percent tested positive is 16%, also the lowest in the group. And that, like I said before, the fatality rate is stable at 1.4%. It's amazing that that's the story there. There is a free COVID test available in the Stewart area. A couple of places that I've researched. Martin County Fairgrounds, 8 to 6 p.m., no appointment needed. You can pretty much count on a wait. Also, I posted about 6 weeks ago on Channel 63. It's still in operation. I called them last night, and they had spots available today to get tested. That's on Willoughby Boulevard. It's still on Channel 63. This is 8 to 6 p.m. also. You need an appointment. It's very simple to do. I tested it. You just call, you go on with this, the curative.com, and it'll right away set you up with the appointment. Like I said, I did it last night. There were appointments available today. This is free and also same-day results. Important if you need a test. Still on 63. Check it out. Some statistics about Florida. Florida is now ranked at 4th. A few weeks back, we were about 15th in the states for new infections. That's not good. We've moved up the line. Just to let you know, number 1, New York, number 2, California, number 3, Texas, and number 4, Florida. Total population in Florida is 20 million. Total fully vaccinated, 15 million. Means there's still 5 million people walking around Florida that haven't been vaccinated. Total percent vaccinated, 66%. 65 years and older, 91%. Seniors are doing their job. A little bit about the Omicron variant. 95% of new infections are from the Omicron variant. Omicron is probably the most contagious of all the variants, and there have been 6 different variants that I know of. Although it's most contagious, it's also a milder form of COVID and does not have severe symptoms or a strong effect on patients as other variants did. But remember, if you have health issues, you got to be careful. So, although it might be a milder variant, if you have other things going on where you have to be careful, you have to be more than careful. Most experts agree that the vaccine shots have protected somewhat against the COVID variants and the serious illness. Excuse me. Omicron is the 6th variant. There were Alpha, Beta, Epsilon, Gamma, and of course Delta. All right, just a few other general stuff now. The spike of this variant, Omicron, is similar to the spike we had of last year around the holidays in December and January. Seems more people are out shopping, traveling, visiting family or holiday parties, and it's a factor that the same time as year as last year that we had a spike in our new infections. So it's similar, you know, holiday time, Christmas time, people getting out and partying, whatever. The CDC, if you test positive with a few or no symptoms, you should stay home for 5 days. These are their new guidelines. If you're feeling okay after 5 days, you can leave your house, but you must wear a mask for 5 days. This, they say, is now sufficient. The Mayo Clinic, most who test positive with little symptoms can recover at home in 2 weeks. Also from the Mayo Clinic, booster shots are encouraged to all. 5 months after you've had your second Moderna or Pfizer, you are eligible for a booster shot. We had them here not too long ago at the health fair sponsored by Mora. We had over 100 people get their booster shots here. The rate of Americans ending up in the hospital with COVID is 50% lower than a year ago. So even though we have spikes and stuff, we're still making a headway. Maybe not headway, but we're doing better. Patients are generally not getting as seriously ill as last year. And like I said, deaths have been stable. This is from the FDA, which is considered the strictest health advisor in the world. Vaccinations are the best for optimum protection from all variants, including the Omicron. CDC says anyone over the age qualifies for booster shots. Over the age of 5 can get booster shots now. Nationwide, hospital admissions are 50% lower than last year's Christmas spike. In 2021, average of 2,000 to 3,000 admissions per day nationwide. In 2022, about 1,200. Definitely improvement. CDC cases are 10 times higher in unvaccinated teens and seniors. Remember that. Pretty much that's it. There was something I saw in today's paper, though. This comes from Rochelle Walensky, who's the chief of CDC. If you're unvaccinated, you are 15 times more likely to be in the hospital and 20 times more likely to die than if you are boosted. It's just important. It's so important that you get vaccinated, and Monterey does a great job at that. All right, now I'm going to go around the the board here if they have any comments before we start on the agenda. I'll start with Diane today.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to welcome back everybody who was up north for the holidays and the snow. I'm sure you're glad to be back here where it's nice and warm. I would like to make some corrections to the last meeting that we had. There were comments that were made that were either innuendos or definitely incorrect. So if you're patient with me, I'd like to review that. The first being that transfer funds had never been done in the past. Well, in doing research, I did find that there were transfer funds that were done, and it was in, excuse me, Willie, February of 2006. And that was under new business. It was recommended by Mr. Hensel to move to transfer the reserve amount in accounts, I won't read the number, air conditioning to furniture and fixtures. So the fact that that was a misunderstanding, I want to make sure people understand. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now, Kathy?
Put it right up to your chin if you can.
Right like this. Diane, literally right like that.
Okay. Do you want me to start again? Okay. Start again? Okay. Again, I wanted to make corrections to the last meeting. There were some comments that were made that were incorrect. And in doing some research, I have identified some areas that I'd really like to make sure all the residents understand. And one of them was Mr. Hensel, who said that the transfer of funds had never occurred in the past. Well, again, with research in 2006, Mr. Hensel actually recommended transfer of funds. So I want people to be aware of that. The second comment that Mr. Hensel made was that the board did not involve the finance committee in making a decision to reduce the reserve funds this year. That's totally inaccurate. It actually was the finance committee that made that recommendation. So again, I want the folks to be totally aware of that. This is not a reflection on Mr. Hensel. This is just knowledge that people have to make accurate decisions. The third thing was an innuendo. You know, this is my second year on the board. I've learned a lot, and I've learned that there are times that you say things and there's times that you don't. Well, Mr. McCosey, who was the president of the board for a number of years, actually made an innuendo that this board probably didn't check with our accountant or our lawyer when we came up with a plan of transferring funds. Now, Mr. McCosey, he knows the rules. He also knows how many times he was at the lawyer and the accountant to make decisions. So I want you to know that this board does due diligence. And again, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to clarify those issues.
Thank you, Diane.
Oh, one more comment.
Sure.
One more comment. This has nothing to do with that. Monterey, this board has put together a protocol that if you get COVID and you need help, we will gladly do that. The kind of help that we give is, you know, make sure you have groceries, make sure that you, somebody contacts them every day, that the person understands that they shouldn't go to the laundry room because it's an area for contamination. So again, I encourage people, if you have COVID, please notify the office, and there's help here on that board. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Pam?
I have no comment at this time. I reserve for later.
Thank you. Vic?
The only thing I have is, seems like people don't read rules and regulations when they purchase here. And one of my pet peeves is on recycling. People putting anything and everything in the recycling bucket. We've found in the past an artificial leg. The other day, I found a toilet seat along with big chunks of styrofoam. If everybody would look in the laundry room, there is a list of what is to be recycled and what not. Just read that list. as they say up home, because we do recycle quite a bit up home, if it's in doubt, throw it in the trash. And because if, as Chris has said in the past, if Waste Management keeps finding things that aren't supposed to be in there, they could possibly refuse picking up our recyclables. And we don't want that to happen, because I have 4 by me, and they're actually full right now. We still have a couple more days to go before they pick them up.
Thank you, Vic. Tom?
Okay, the only thing I have to say is that the workshop meeting is one of the most important meetings we have every month. And it really bothers me that we had like 70 people here yesterday, and we have like 35 people here today. And I think that people who are watching at home cannot comment on what we're doing. I think that people should come to the workshop meetings. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Lorraine?
I was going to reiterate about the recycle bins, because it is a major problem here. And I also want, so I agree with Victor, please pass it along to your neighbors, or if you see someone, I have seen someone and I just go over, introduce myself, and I say, you may be new here, or you may be a renter and don't know what goes in these bins. This is what goes in, please check your laundry room, and if in doubt, throw it out. Throw it in the garbage containers, a new one, but it must be in a 30-gallon bag, not the small bags. I found someone throwing in a couple of small bags, so I just approached her again, introduced myself, and I says, I'm sure you don't know what the new policy is regarding trash. And I informed her, she says, thank you very much, and she went and got a garbage bag. So please, Pat, anytime you see anyone, help us out.
Kim?
I would just like to welcome everyone back. Looking forward to 2022. I would like to concur with Tom in regard to this meeting, but I'd also like to thank Chris for his meeting yesterday. I think that did entice a lot of people to come today, because he left some things hanging. Thank you, Chris. And the numbers that are here increased probably from 10 to that 35. So we're on an upward swing, and I only hope more people will come to these meetings and have the opportunity to speak in regard to these agenda items, which are very important as we look down the list. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we can get started on our agenda for today. Please remember, just a few little some information for everyone. Please remember, everyone will be given a chance to speak on any issue. Please raise your hand when it's time, when we ask for any remarks from our residents to speak, and be patient. Everyone will get called on. Please address your comments to the board. No back and forth among the residents. No debates, please. No shouting out. Let's keep it respectable for everyone. Speakers will get 3 minutes to speak on each agenda item. I have my gavel here, just testing it. Anyway, you get your 3 minutes, and then I'll give you a little bang when you got about 20 seconds left, and then another bang when you're done, okay? We hope if everyone obeys our little rules that we've have put together for many years. Please cooperate. And let's be considerate to all others here while we're here today at our meeting. Okay, we'll start on the agenda. Chris, did you want to say anything? Nope. Sorry. I said enough yet. Okay, our first item on the agenda is number 1, hours of work for contractors and owners when working on the condos. This is something, relatively simple. We have suggested hours for work, when you want to work on your condos or you have someone there, you know, a contractor, carpenter, whatever. Hours will be, suggested hours now are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. No work for Sunday. Emergency work is excluded, like on Sunday if you have a broken toilet or something like that, or a big leak, that will be excluded from the hours. We're trying to eliminate disturbing all of our residents during late hours by workers. If approved, this suggestion will be voted on at the next meeting and added to Monterey rules and regulations. So simply, for contractors and that are working in your condos, they'll be limited to from 8 to 6 p.m. No Sunday work, and emergency work will be allowed. I'm going to go around, so I'll let the other speak on what they have, the other board members.
I think this is great, but I think we should also include holidays and not just Sundays.
Okay.
I agree. I think we should include holidays.
Okay, thanks. Kim?
I don't have any comment at this time.
Diane?
I do have a couple of comments. I think these rules should be put in writing for the contractor, and when he comes in to make us aware that he's going to be here working, I think he should get a list of what can be disposed of and what cannot be disposed of that he has to remove off the property. And I think that's it.
Okay, thanks. Pam?
I concur that the hours definitely need to be established, and I think it needs to be on 63 for our members, because people need to realize that there are communities that do not allow work during quote-unquote season. And so therefore, I think 8 to 6, Monday through Saturday is more than sufficient. That's it.
All right, thanks. Dan? Vic?
The only thing is that on the holidays, there are a few holidays that the government does not take off. They're still, they still work. The major holidays, I agree with.
Okay.
But not any minor holiday.
Okay. So we want to, would anyone like to speak on it or have anything, comments?
You said contractors, does that include the homeowner who's remodeling their unit?
Yes.
Okay, because we totally had this over Christmas through New Year's, 9 to 9 at night, boys. And that was a homeowner, not a contractor.
Yeah, it actually said hours of work for contractors and owners.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's working.
I can hear you. Yeah, it's working. It's working, Bob.
I don't want to interrupt the whole thing, I think this is a lot of things to do. But is this just a comment on the contractor or any comments at this time?
No, it's,
Just,
just, we're going down the agenda, Bob. If you have something to say
My
on,
name was mentioned on something here which I don't agree with what the person said. Is I said at the meeting, did you contact the attorney and accountant, I believe? Clear things back. If I did say they didn't check, because I don't know, I apologize for that. But I expect an apology back from somebody that says I said something which I didn't say. Okay, I did say, did you check with the accountant? Chris, you might have, you said you're not gonna say anything or whatever, but I believe that's what it was, okay? I believe that's what it is.
Actually, Bob, do you want me to answer?
yeah,
I
we
don't want to
can,
get into that discussion on it, but if I did say that, because I don't know whether you did or not, I just asked the question, did you check with the attorney That's what I believe I said.
Actually, I wrote down the words because it
Play
really...
it back and I tell you what I'm saying.
All right, enough. Bob, let her answer you. Let her answer.
Yeah, I did write it down because it was so offensive. I felt... Okay. I guess we'll agree to disagree.
Okay, all right.
I've been on the board, I was on the board for 10 years. I thought we did a very good job, and we're honest with everybody, and I know you guys done a tough job up there. They did it for 10 years up there. It's very hard. And I appreciate what you said, I know the rules and regulations, thanks for the accolade. Just one other comment is that you might want to check on the 2 bedrooms, I mean, 1 bedroom, 2 people, it's already in the documents.
It's only in the rules and regulations.
No, it's not. I looked it up this morning. It's in the documents. It says 2 people, 2 residents.
Well, that's
per
excellent.
bedroom.
Well, great. That's excellent, and it's gonna take something out of the annual meeting. Thank you.
Yes.
I will double
I'll show you
check.
the regulation if you want to see it.
Thank you.
Okay.
What was, I didn't get that.
It's already in the docs.
Already in the
that
docs.
They're limited to 2 people to occupy a bedroom. It's already in the docs.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak on what we're talking about, the hours of work? Yeah, Frank.
Yeah, I guess I want to ask two questions. One is when you say no Sunday work for contractors. If we have to quarantine, whoever it may be.
That's not inside a unit. That is not inside a unit. They're not talking about common area. They're talking about inside a unit.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that correctly.
That's why I'm saying it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm not yelling.
I beg your pardon.
How can you tell the difference, right?
You're not yelling.
And he's not even on a microphone. All right, no other comments? Yes. Please, when you're making a comment, your name and unit, please. Just,
It's not working. What the hell's going on?
Okay, well, I'm the guilty party in Unit 45. Working, can you get the wireless mic turned up a little bit? It's not coming.
Try it now. Say ABC.
It's fixed.
Is it? Okay, this is better? Much
All
better.
right.
Okay, I'm the guilty party in Building 45.
1 second, please, your name and, okay?
Paul Jose,
Okay,
45H.
thank you.
As I said, I'm the guilty party in 45. I do want to apologize to those in Building 45. My wife and I are doing a bunch of work in there. We've never been in a condo. We were kind of oblivious to the noise we were making in a home. We'd be going till 11 o'clock at night. We were working, trying to go 8 to 8. Didn't always work out that way. I agree. I should have been a little more thoughtful of the residents in the building, but the hours of work seem very reasonable, and I, again, apologize and look forward to having the new requirements or restrictions.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to Monterey.
Yes.
Okay, number 2, choice of cable and internet suppliers. Chris and our cable committee have been having meetings to prepare to make a decision regarding the choice of either Comcast or Hotwire as our suppliers of cable and internet. Chris will meet soon with the suppliers to determine what is best for Monterey, and I'll let Chris take over.
Okay, so we do have a committee formed that's looking into the bulk cable renewal and also internet. We met last Tuesday, I believe it is. There's 5 people on the committee. We came up with a bunch of different questions to ask both suppliers that has been sent to them. We compared each contract with what they were offering, etc. We are waiting to get the questions and answers back from both companies. We will also be reaching out to a third company. As of last June, they were not in our area, but we are going to reach out to them also. They're called Blue Stream. Once we have the meeting with them, we will then bring a proposal to the Board of Directors on what we are recommending and proceed from there. So, any questions on bulk cable or internet?
I'm sorry, but I have to ask this question too. Okay, was it taken in consideration with I know the way it is now, the Cablevision is bulk cable. You have to, you can't not have it if you don't want it. The question was, I know people ask me, is that suppose you have the internet, you don't want the internet, you're going to be forced to take the internet?
That's correct.
Okay, so what we're saying is the people that do not have internet, not me, believe me, I love the internet, I'm on it all the time. I'm just talking about when the board makes a decision, they take everybody in consideration, all 510 units.
Yes.
How many people don't have internet, number one?
Yes.
Number two, how many people go home for the winter that cut, or for the summer, that cut their cable out or cut their internet out?
Yes.
Because they don't have to pay anything for that.
Yes.
And that's the thing that's making the consideration, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. I mean, like I say, for me, I like,
Just bringing up a point, I get it.
but that's the key.
So here's how it works. The internet would work just like cable. Whether you want it or not, if the board votes to add internet, everybody would pay on a monthly basis. You cannot shut it off during the summertime because it is a bulk contract. There are over 300 residents in here that already have internet. I think one of the things that the committee is looking to forward is bringing our community up into the 21st century. We all feel, I think on the committee, it would be a big selling point that internet is also provided. The overall cost for internet and cable will be less than what you're paying now, anyone who has cable on their own, including putting it to sleep during the summertime. But these are all questions, Bob, that we are asking. These are all other things that we're bringing up to Hotwire and Comcast.
The reason why I'm saying these things is that, believe me, I like the internet and so forth like that. People come up to me, I've been off the board for a year or two now, people come to me and ask different questions. They're afraid to say anything because they don't want to be reprimanded or whatever. Okay, that's the problem in the whole complex. I think people are afraid to say something. As you know, I'm not. And I appreciate the people coming up to me, they have confidence in me. But Mike, I reiterate, just take in consideration, I know there's 300 people on the internet, how many of those people go home, cut it off completely, pay zero? Just take in consideration.
Okay, as I said, it'll still be less than what those people are paying. Also, if you do not want internet for some reason, I know there's some people that don't have computers, Hotwire will offer a landline phone for your unit. So if you really don't have a computer, you don't want to use it, they will offer you a landline phone. But you're still going to pay the same amount of money. Wait, Ron's right there with a microphone.
Ron Longo, 51J. Chris, right now, I've never paid more than $30 for internet. I shut it off at the end of the season. It runs me between 20 and 30 every year, depending on the deals that they have. What's this going to cost me on a year-round basis?
Okay, so year-round, what we're looking at, and we have not started any negotiations yet. This is just their proposal. It's going to run approximately $72 a month. Right now, your cable alone costs $48 a month. By the time the contract ends, your cable will be up to about $56 a month. So your cable alone is $56. You're going to wind up getting internet for like another $25. So for some people, it will be less money. Some people, it may be a little bit more, but this is also the fastest internet there is. I think most people that are in here do not have the fastest, and you don't need it. This is, if we go with Hotwire, it's all fiber optics. Inside your unit, everything will be wireless. There will be an actual modem that they supply at no extra cost, and all your boxes for your TVs and etc. are all wireless. So there's a lot of things that both contracts offer that we're looking into, like the compatibility with our Channel 63, YouTube, etc. We're nowhere near making a proposal to the board. You know, this is still going to be another few months of working on it. It will take them close to a year to install the fiber optics. So we are in a little bit of a time crunch because the cable contract ends in June of 2023. So we're working on it. But all those questions are things that we're also asking. I didn't realize this was going to turn into this.
Russell McIntyre, Unit 22J. My wife and I have had a chance to look at some of the online reviews.
Whoever's talking, excuse me, whoever's talking, we can hear you up here, and it's very disconcerting. We can hear you actually talking in the background. Go ahead, Russ.
Okay. My wife and I have had a chance to actually review some of the things online, the reviews of Hotwire. Now, Comcast is, of course, the devil that we know because we've worked with that for years. Hotwire is virtually unknown to us completely. We can't always go on the basis of reviews. Most of them read as if they're individual subscribers, perhaps in their own homes or in their own apartments. I'm asking the committee to be sure you ask what other condo communities, such as ours, have actually used the services of Hotwire, and make sure you examine those reviews, because I think those will be the ones that really determine whether or not it's a service that we can afford to have here and one that will give us at least a comparable service as Comcast has done, even though there are problems. Thank you.
Very good point. It is something that we are looking into. They have already given us a list of 100 condos and homeowners associations in our area, and they only supply to condos and homeowner associations. You cannot get Hotwire on your own. They only supply bulk contracts. So an individual home cannot just call Hotwire and say, I want Hotwire. It has to be in an association. That's all they service. They only do bulk contracts. But that is definitely something we are looking into. There's about 6 or 8 that each one on the committee will be contacting, either the manager or board member, somebody like that, and a lot of them are like Jonathan's Landing, Admiral's Cove, Harbor Ridge. These are high-end communities. So that is definitely something we're going to do, Russ.
Camille Humans, 25A. Right now, we have basic cable that's included in our HOA fees, but we also pay extra if you want the DVR box and a couple other things. With this new stuff, will it also be extra for the extras?
So they're going to supply 1 DVR box and 2 small boxes. That's going to be supplied by Hotwire. Of course, any HBO, Cinemax, anything like that will be extra. They'll set it up just like Comcast is, where you will have the account through the bulk, but you'll also have your own account that if you wanted to add HBO or anything like that. Yes. Something that Hotwire offers is there will be 2 technicians that are assigned to our community, okay? So you will not see Joe Blow, one somebody else. There's only going to be 2 techs that will take care of our community. So you will see the same people every time, okay? That is something, the biggest complaint we get from Comcast is their service. So that's something that we're looking into. Like I said, we're taking all of these things into consideration. Vic first.
Chris, you said they're going to supply DVR box. Is it the regular box that they normally supply? Because I pay extra for a DVR.
What was the DVR? Do you remember? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I'm going to have to look it up. I don't want to speak out of turn. Because Comcast supplies a box right now.
But not DVR.
Oh, it's not DVR.
No.
Then it most likely is not DVR. I take that back. I apologize. Anyone else? What we're going to do is when we do decide who we're going to recommend, we're going to set up a meeting with either one, whether it's Comcast, Hotwire, or Bluestream. We're going to have their representative come, and we'll probably do something like buildings 1 through 17, 18 through whatever, and then the last 17 buildings, so we'll break it down and actually have a meeting in this clubhouse where your questions can be answered by them, okay? So we're working on the process, that's the biggest thing.
Okay, no one else on this issue? All right, we'll keep you informed as things go along, and what is it, about 2 years, almost 2 years before the contract's up?
Less than year and a half, yeah. So it's time to work on it.
Yeah.
Like a year and 4 months.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I know, time flies, right? Okay, we'll go to number 3 on the agenda, condo window replacement requested by owner. Okay, a letter has been sent to Chris about this issue, and I will read the letter and then we'll talk about it, okay? This is from Jim Hensel. It says, "Dear Sir, this is to advise you that my windows are worn and need to be replaced. When we returned to our unit the past several years, the window sills were full of dirt, and my wife had to wash all the curtains because of the dirt on them. Dirt was also evident on our light-colored carpets. I have installed wedges the association gave me to tighten the windows, but evidently windy summer storms still cause dirt intrusion. You may recall that the board has already recognized the leakage problems with the old windows and promised to replace them when the association was in a firm financial condition. I believe that time has come. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. As evidenced by the board's recent approvals of expenditures to deepen drainage ditches and replace patio screens just to improve the appearance of the property, they and you should be aware that structural maintenance of the building should take precedence over the less critical improvements. I am aware of the board's resolution to let owners who didn't want to wait to replace their own windows with those of an approved type. I would like to direct you to the Declaration of Condominium, paragraphs 3.22 and 5.1, which clearly state that it is the association's responsibility to maintain the windows and screens since they are set more than 1 inch past the inside boundary wall of the unit. You have requested 3 different window companies to repair the windows. One wouldn't come to look, probably because of the experience with the old windows, and the other 2 said their written evaluations that the windows couldn't be repaired and recommended they be replaced. I believe I should not have to worry about installing wedges to tighten my windows whenever I leave my unit, just because there might be blowing wind or rain while I'm gone. Therefore, I request the association replace my windows as soon as it is expedient to do so. James Hensel, Unit 21J. Okay.
12J.
I'm sorry, 12J. Just my comments on it, okay? There are no funds for window replacement in our reserves. No funds in our reserves. About 100 of the Monterey owners have already installed new windows in their condos at their own expense. The cost to replace all the remaining windows is about $1,200,000. Ouch. We have contacted our attorney and we are working on a plan to fund this project that will be fair to all residents. All residents that have installed new windows in their condos will be exempted from any further expense regarding the installation of new windows. And at this time, I'll ask Chris to elaborate on the situation.
No, I think Diane wanted to.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, Diane, yeah.
Okay. Am I close enough? Okay, good. Okay. Again, in doing some research, this has been a problem.
I mean, right there,
Right in it.
Right in it.
right in it.
My husband says I have a big mouth, so I don't know what's wrong with you folks. Okay. Again, doing some research on this project because it is so overwhelming, and I'm going to clearly state up front. Every board has a lot of decisions to make that are not comfortable. And my comments now are not a reflection on any board in the past. But I am going to say that this has been on a working problem since 2006. And there's never been a resolution or a account developed to take care of this problem. So again, I think the implication was, well, if folks want to get new windows, we're going to let them do it and put this off as long as we possibly can. As a board member, I understand that, but I think it's imperative that we look at this very, very closely and weigh the facts of how much it costs to put windows in and what our other projects are.
Thank you, Diane. Chris, you want to elaborate?
There's been two resolutions that were passed by previous boards. They definitely acknowledge that, yes, we are aware the windows are the association's responsibility. As Diane just pointed out, no board ever started funding for it in the past because the amount is just overwhelming. So what the boards in the past did allow to do, in recognition of the association's responsibility to repair or replace windows when they are defective, a unit owner who has installed the approved windows with proper approval shall receive a credit equal to the pro rata portion of their assessment. So what it is saying is, when and if the association decided that they were going to replace the windows, if it is somebody that already replaced theirs, okay, and it would be the unit, it's not the person, it doesn't follow the person, it follows the unit, they would be exempt from the special assessment. In other words, let's say we fund $60,000 a year to do a building. If you are an A unit and you had yours done, you would be exempt from your share of the special assessment, okay? Since I received this letter, talked to most board members, Gene and I extensively, we have been working with Jacob, who is our attorney, how we can come up with this funding to make it fair for everyone, and then how do we pick what windows get done? Unless, of course, the board just approves that every single window, no matter what, is going to get replaced. But as of this date, this is the only request the association has for windows. I have no work orders in there for anyone saying their windows are leaking, they don't stay up, there's no locks, there's no whatever. Again, it would work just like the front doors. A lot of people still have the wooden front door. We come in, we check your door. If the door can be fixed, you don't get a new door unless you want to pay for it. So if you put in a work order for your windows, we come in and it's just a slide or a lock or whatever, and Tommy is able to fix it, or even if we hire a company to fix the windows, doesn't mean you're just automatically getting impact windows paid for by the association. And again, the only way we get money is from you guys. So anyone who thinks, oh, the association's going to pay for my windows, yeah, after we special assess you. Okay? So we are working on it. Jim is correct. I have had Tommy and two other companies that came and looked at his windows, and they have said that they can no longer be repaired, excuse me. The board has a big decision to make on, are we going to special assess every year for a certain amount of windows to be done? Are we going to add it to the budget and then write a check to the people? Because what happens if we add it to the budget? Even if you did your windows, you're going to pay every month. And at the end of the year, we're going to have to write you a check back. Accounting nightmare. So we are working. I was actually on the phone again with Jacob, the attorney, before this meeting started. We're trying to come up with a way that windows can be fairly picked to be done, how they're going to be paid for, etc. So we are actually working on some kind of a proposal.
Okay, we'll go around the board, see what they have to say about this. Start with Tom.
Okay, since we did check with our attorney and, sorry, since we already checked with our attorney and we know how to proceed. It's going to be up to the board to decide what the priorities are going to be and how we're going to handle this. The money is not there. People have to realize we don't have money in the reserve for windows. So this is going to have to be discussed by the board, and we're going to have to come up with some kind of plan.
Thank you, Tom. Lorraine?
Yes, that's true, and I'm glad that Chris is working on it with, Chris and Jean, working on it with our attorney on how we can approach this. This is a huge ticket that we, for an assessment, and we just want to be fair for everyone, but also it's going to be difficult to know who gets their windows done or if we go by building, which way we should approach it. Our attorney is working on that. So we are on the right path. We are working on it. We're going to come to a solution, and then it'll be up to the board to make a decision.
I agree with Diane and the other comments that have been made, that in our list of things that need to be done, we need to set priorities. And this, as you both said, is a huge commitment to allow for this expenditure. So I think we need to continue down this path, but in the list of priorities, I see other things coming before it.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Diane?
I think I said enough.
Okay. Pam?
I have to concur with what has already been said. It is a prioritization of expenditures of monies that we do not have, but will have to special assess. And whatever decision is made must be equitable to all residents and owners. That's it.
Vic?
I think special assessment is the only way we can go on this situation. If we put money in the reserve account, everybody's going to have to pay. And as Chris said, a lot of people have already bought their own windows and put them in. I think we need to get more information from the attorneys and to find out how to do this. But right now, I'm leaning toward special assessment. Do we do a building at a time special assessment, or we do everybody at a time? I don't know. I don't know which way's the best to go.
Okay. Thanks,
I
Vic.
do have a comment to that. I agree. I think we're going to need a special assessment, but I think because we're going to have other special assessments, this assessment is just for windows, so there's no confusion about where the monies are going.
Okay, thank you, Diane.
Just elaborate a little bit more. What Diane just said, that is definitely one of the things the attorney said, that he would want us to start a separate reserve item just for windows. Also, just to let everybody know, the breakdown when you pay is going to be by your percentage basis, okay? Just like just about almost everything else in this place has to be done. So end units pay the 44%, the inside units pay the 39%, the middle units pay 17%. May not be fair to everyone, but that's the way that it's written. If you had your windows done, the only thing you are not exempt from is when we do the laundry room windows, because that is just a total common area window. So if and when we do the common areas, you will receive a special assessment for that portion.
A lot has to be discussed before we come to any conclusion on this matter. There are a number of ways we can go. A special assessment seems to be the best way. We would probably be limited to doing 10 or 15 condos a year. So also how who would be chosen and why and whatnot, it all has to be discussed. And we've been talking with the attorney, like Chris said, and we're making some progress. We have some ideas, but rather than put them out now, we'll wait until we get more along the path of making a decision, and then we'll pass it on. But chances are it will have to be some kind of special assessment for the windows. Okay, we'll go, actually, go ahead, Frank.
My name is Frank Swiderski. I live in 48B. I agree with the windows, but there was a problem in the past. If you have hurricane shutters, you do not have to replace your windows. Now, is that going to change? Because now I spend money to put that up so I don't have to put windows in of any kind. Now you're telling me I may be assessed to have windows put in.
Well, I'm not sure about that, Chris.
Because Mr. Hensel was on the board at the time and we debated that question, and it was in the minutes. So I'm just curious, for all other residents that may just have hurricane shutters and not windows.
So that's actually two different questions, kind of, and I'll explain it. The biggest thing is the buildings have to be, if they're replaced, have to be hurricane proof. So if you have shutters, you're already hurricane proof. However, if you call us up and say my front window is leaking and it can't be repaired, then you would still be responsible for the window. Being that you have shutters, the window itself would not have to legally be impact because you already have an impact protection. I think that's going to probably be something that's going to be an as-case basis. And another question we're going to have to throw to the attorney.
Thank you.
Russ?
Thank you, Russ McIntyre, 22J. I'd like to just add one other consideration here for you. We have impact windows. We have sliders across the outside of the lanai. Last night, we had several gallons of water, because of that storm, come under the windows and up through the channels that are on the bottom. Now, that's happened once before. We're not here more than 4 months out of the year, so I don't know what happens when we're not here. But there may indeed be others, and what seems to be the culprit is that the channeling out of those water channels underneath the sliders are either clogged or perhaps need to have additional holes put in. That would help us right now, and it's an issue that other condo owners may also have. We're on the second floor. I can't imagine how much water actually goes in down on the first floor, but it needs to be attended to because our liability would be significant if that went down into the condo unit below us and did damage. So I simply ask that that be one of the things that you might also discuss. Thank you.
I have a question. Maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying, but when I bought my condo, that was the main thing. I wanted hurricane windows in it and that it was finished. I was a new widow, and that's what I chose to buy. Are you telling me now I would have to pay for other people's windows when I did what I wanted?
No, that's exactly what I said you wouldn't have to do.
Okay.
You will be, anyone who already has windows would be exempt from the special assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I'm glad you asked that so we could, everybody else is probably thinking the same thing. Wait a minute, I already paid once, what the heck?
Camille Humans, 25A. Would that include if you purchased the condo already with the new impact windows?
As I said earlier, and I'm just going to reiterate, it does not matter about the resident. It goes with the unit. So if you purchased the unit, like Maryland did, and it already had windows, you paid extra money for that unit already because the windows were already installed. It doesn't go by the person or the resident, it goes by the unit. When we will count them up, we'll actually just drive around, and that's A unit has them, B has them, C has them. They will be exempt from the special assessment.
Any consideration you might change the rules and regulations that Monterey is not responsible for windows?
This is one of those things where it would take 100% of the community to do it.
Anyone else? Just to let you know, we will keep you addressed as we, continue to work on this project and some way. Just remember, chances are it will be a special assessment to those owners that need windows. We'll do a limited amount per year, and the way we handle it still hasn't been worked out. It's a big project, but Chris, can we give an idea what it would cost to replace windows now?
Okay, so give it an idea of how much it would replace. It would really depend on how many windows you plan on doing a year. A couple of things that have been thrown out, one building a year. Well, folks, that would take 51 years to replace. 5 buildings a year. Okay, let's say each building is approximately $60,000 to do. So if you're going to do 5 buildings, that's a $300,000 special assessment, and it's going to take 10 years to get done. If you do 10 buildings, it's $600,000, and it would take 5 years. So to try to speculate on exactly what, I won't be here, what's going to be done and how much is, we have a lot more homework to do before we get to that point.
We do.
Irene Mamo, 4090. Is there any way we can encourage people to do it themselves?
Okay, the board probably isn't going to want me to say this, but I'm going to. I would run out and get my windows done immediately, because you're going to spend less money doing it on your own than when we hit you up for a special assessment. So yes, Eileen, we encourage everyone to go get their own windows.
As you know, it's just a simple fact that prices are going up. I had my windows done maybe 4 years ago. It cost me about $3,200. It's a little more now with the impact windows. So think about doing it. If it's your thought, do it as soon as you can. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, I'm Robin Parsons, 38J. We're new. I just have a question in terms of replacing the windows. Will there be an opportunity for those who may want to do that on our own to take advantage of some bulk contract rate?
Absolutely. Good.
About 2 years ago, about 40 people had them done bulk. They got together and they made up a price. I would say maybe we didn't run it. It was run by unit owners. I think that would be another great idea to do if you get a bunch of people together that say, you know what, I'm going to do it now. I want to be protected. I'm going to save the money. That isn't really something that the association took on, but I could give you the names of the people who ran it, and maybe we could put something on 63 and Chip Shots. Any owners that would like to do it right now, we're trying to get together another bulk purchasing of impact windows. I think somebody's back. Wait. Bridie was next. Bergie, sorry.
I came in late on this discussion, but I wanted, excuse me. I came in late on this discussion, but I wanted to let you know that I had impact windows put in, I think it was July, and it was $8,200, and I live in an end unit, and that included the slider.
Thank you.
When we put in our windows 4 years ago, we had to use certain companies. Do you still have to use the certain companies?
No, you do not have to use certain companies anymore. It is only, basically now it is any impact window that is aesthetically the same look as ours, okay? There are so many windows out there now, so many different companies. This is something we did check with the attorney. As long as they are aesthetically the same, they have to have that horizontal bar, it's fake, It's only for the look, but as long as they look aesthetically the same, they can be used. They can also be either metal or vinyl.
Chris, don't we have specs? I remember you giving us.
We do,
us
we do.
specs, yeah.
The specs were made years and years and years ago. They were for, at that time, a milestone window that they don't even make anymore. The majority of the people right now are going with PGT. They're the top of the line type window. I've noticed a company called North and South or something like that has been doing quite a bit of the work in here lately.
Chris, if you have storm shutters on, do you have to have impact windows installed?
That's what we were just saying. That's the same thing that Frank just asked, and that's going to have to be a question for the attorney. I personally, dealing with this, do not believe so. The purpose of this is to, when you do replace windows, they have to be hurricane. So if you already have shutters and you're not complaining about your windows leaking, you would not have to have your windows replaced.
Well, the question is if I want to replace the windows, do I have to put impact windows in?
No, you do not. So if you do want to replace them and you have hurricane shutters, you would not legally have to put in impact because you already have hurricane protection. That I do know. That we checked when Robbie Hart had hers done. We had to check to see if that was okay, and it is.
The cost goes down.
The cost goes down a lot. Correct.
I have a question. So however, with what Ron is saying, you have hurricane shutters, but he does not have new windows.
Correct.
Is that correct, Ron? You
Yes.
do not
I don't
have.
new windows right now, but if I wanted to replace them.
Right, but what I'm asking is you do not have new windows.
No, I don't.
So he would be assessed. He would be part of.
No, yes, no, yeah, he would still, yes, he would still.
be part of the
He
assessment.
would still be part of the assessment. It doesn't matter that you have shutters, you would still be part of the assessment for everybody else's windows.
Because it's a window replacement.
Correct, exactly.
So again, we're better off replacing our windows now.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move along then. Number 4 on the agenda is the engineer's report on the inspection of 5 of our buildings. Chris and the board took the initiative a while back when we had that tragedy in Miami where the building collapsed, and we sort of jumped the gun and hired some engineers to check the condition of our buildings. We have received a report from the engineers, probably about at least 1.5 inches thick, yes, and quite thorough and quite complete. The report is quite extensive and thorough. The report states that there are no emergency repairs needed in the buildings that were inspected. However, all of the buildings have cracks, holes that need to be addressed. Mostly it is concrete work that needed to be repaired. We're now discussing a plan on how to fund these repairs and probably involve most of our condos. Most of them, since we only inspected 5, all 5 had issues. So, but like I said, nothing that immediate or needs to emergency repair. And I'd like to ask Chris to elaborate a little bit on it.
Okay, so a little bit of history, which will also be discussed when we get to another item that we're going to be talking about. After the collapse of the building in Miami and the fact that our buildings are 51 years old, most of the board members and residents during my meetings had said, hey, are we going to get these inspected? And we all thought it was a good idea. We picked 5 buildings. Some of them were at random. Some were not. 1 was requested. 2 are ones that we knew we had problems with. Building 38 was one of them. Actually had a sinkhole 25 years ago. So we picked 1 from across the street because it's closer to the water. I want to reiterate, I said it yesterday, we're talking about 2 different animals. Our buildings are 2 stories. The building in question down there was, what, 27? Something like that. It's the proximity to the salt water. We don't have garbage chutes. We don't have elevators. We don't have AC cooling towers. our buildings are not going to fall down, okay? They inspected all 5 buildings. They did roofs, windows, doors. The majority of the work that they found is all concrete related. As Gene said, there are numerous cement repairs that have to be made. This goes above and beyond what we can do in-house. There are pictures, there are all kinds of things that anyone who really wants to see them, I can show them to you. They did complete drawings of every unit, every patio, every stairwell, etc. A lot of the things are where the core drilling goes into the top landing, where your railings are. They've got to be crowned. There's water getting in. Every single hole where a cane bolt goes in needs to be filled. If we're going to allow doors to be propped open legally, we got to close them in. We got to come up with a different way to do it. Carpet on patios, got to come off. Listed in there. It's a sponge. They go to the point of saying even tile on patios that do not have sliding glass doors should either be sealed or removed. That is one of the big things that they do on condos that are on the ocean, is tile on patios. This is something that we are going to have to deal with, because now we know what these problems are. So guess what, folks? Not in the budget. Okay? Not in the budget. Another thing that has to be paid for somehow. Do we add it to the budget? What they're saying right now is you're looking at about $10,000 worth of damage per building. So again, there's another $500,000, okay? There's no way we can do it all at once, unless you want to. We can have a huge special assessment. They have defined what needs to be done. We don't feel right now that there's any reason to hire them to continue doing inspections. They know what's wrong, and it's going to be the same things at every single building. The suggestion I'm going to make, where this is nowhere near, and it will not be at this meeting coming up, but that we need to hire perhaps this engineering company, since they did it. They go out, they get the contractors, they oversee the job, they write the specs, which basically they have already done on what needs to be done. Another thing we're going to have to discuss, and I don't know if the board wants to do it, but perhaps we get a committee or we get all the residents involved. We got to, as Kim said earlier, we got a lot of projects that are going to cost a lot of money, and they got to be prioritized.
Right.
Any questions at all on that? Yes?
I just got one thing. The board of directors, and they're put in a hot spot here. Now, I don't know how serious this thing is. However, especially the board, they know that there's a serious situation if it is. And that puts them in a predicament that, wait a minute, you guys are liable too. And I hate to say it, but we're going to have to pay whatever it may be, because the board, you can't take the responsibility of something happening like they did in Miami. Okay, that was far-fetched from Miami. The board of directors are the first ones that are being sued because they knew about it. They didn't do it because it cost money. And be careful. That's all I'm saying, and that just for your own protection. And I hate to say that, but
100%, Bob, and that is what we are addressing. As Gene pointed out, there is nothing in this report that is an immediate danger. That, like, you got to get this fixed tomorrow. But these.
You can't blame the board if they raise the maintenance today. You can't blame them.
That is correct, and that is exactly the exact conversation that we had after we received this, that now we know of these things. They have got to be addressed.
Right.
Okay? As Tom says all the time, our 50th anniversary was a double-edged sword. It was great to celebrate 50 years, but now the buildings are 51 years old. And a lot of this stuff is not anything that over the years have been like a preventive maintenance type thing. Like one of them right here that he said is all the holes for the cane bolts need to be filled in. Okay? That's not a preventive maintenance. That's something that we actually allowed people to do that now we're realizing is causing damage. So it is definitely going to be addressed. This is not the last time that you will be hearing about it. Again, this is something we have to work with the attorney, but the board is aware of this, and we're taking it serious.
One second. If I may. There's a number of ways where we can handle this. We could get all the buildings inspected and then just do the worst ones first. But the report was really a very thorough report. I mean, the pictures explaining cracks and holes that needed to be fixed. Most of the stuff was not, dangerous to the building or anything. All of it was, or else it would have been an emergency fix. However, so we could either, there's a number of ways we could handle this. Take care of the worst ones first, get all inspections first before we start. It's not a big cost. We could do, 10, 15 condos a year, just do the bad ones, get them out of the way, and then fix them as needed. But there's a lot of things to discuss along here, so it is a work in progress, and Chris is on top of it, and we're talking with the attorney, and we'll move along and keep you informed as we go along.
I'd just like to make one comment, if I may, Jean, here.
Yes, Kim.
Okay. I'd like to quote Ron, a former board member who is so helpful with all our contracting things. I don't think we as a board should kick the can down the road. Somebody said it. I don't think my point being that, okay, we're going to address it, and I think we should have some sort of a timeline that we follow, not to start it right away, but to follow, so that there is a more definitive plan in place. I took the opportunity last night to actually try to understand all this, and I only can say I'm glad I'm not an engineer or a contractor as my chosen field, but it is to me, looked so thorough that I was duly impressed. So can we perhaps say in 6 months we're going to be have the attorney's report and recommendation in a year, something to that effect?
Well, I'll let Chris elaborate on it, but this was an expense too, to have the buildings inspected. So we still have another 45 buildings that have to be inspected. And then maybe we could proceed, we'll talk about it more on how to proceed, do the worst ones first, or just continue to plan and put it together and then discuss it with the attorney and make the presentation to the residents. Okay.
I would not recommend hiring them to do an inspection anymore. It's $1,000 a building. That's money that we can use. There's another 46 buildings that would have to be inspected. That could be 4 buildings worth of repairs right there. What I would recommend, and of course this has to go to the attorney and all that kind of stuff. Lee, you can put your hand down. I see that you're waiting. You don't have to stand there like that.
The meeting is a conflict with the Masters tournament. I'm going to miss a tea time.
He's going to miss it. He's playing in the Masters and he's going to miss his tea time. I don't know what the. We didn't want to hear that.
It's recorded. Yeah, you can see it. But I have something to say regarding this subject.
Yes.
The 5 buildings.
Wait.
What I have to say regarding these 5 buildings is that none of them were of the 19 buildings that the Finance Committee has sent 2 letters to the Board of Directors regarding the replacement of these buildings immediately.
They most certainly are. There's 2 of them. Building 51.
Building 51 is a GeoGuard building. They go like this. Building 7 is GeoGuard, which was an overlay put on in 210, supposed to give you 15 years, put you out to 225. We estimated all replacement dates are pretty speculative on observation. 2029 for that one. Building 19 has 2 layers of the fiber-type membrane.
That's probably the most secure we've got, except we don't know what you get when you open up one of these buildings based on our experience from 2011. Building 25 is a brand-new roof that was put on just 2 years ago. It's the Johns Mansfield, everything to the latest date of building requirements. Building 38 is another building that was a new building. Building 51 is a GeoGuard building. The vacancy in the report is it does not address the buildings that the Finance Committee has forwarded 2 letters of the emergency need to replace those 19 buildings, and the money is in the finance reserve account item. $893,000 so far would get us a start. I've asked for 2 letters to be read into the board. I understand it's the next item on the agenda. I'm just asking if the board could address, or if the board will read those letters into record. We had asked, we sent 1 letter on December the 4th prior to the meeting in December the 6th. It was not read into the minutes. It was referred to this meeting. I've since sent another letter on January the 8th. The letter is from me. It's Lee Gamble, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Building 10. Building 10.
When we get to that item, the plan is to read the letters. I have it right here. I have the letters right here.
Well, let me just ask that you move along with that. I'll catch up as fast as I can. But with all the planning done, it should not be meetings in conflict with major events. I don't know how it happened. I'm not criticizing anybody, but it is a major event.
So the engineer was hired back in July, and we received the letter that all of a sudden 19 buildings are in an emergency to be replaced on December 4th. So the engineer was hired months before the Finance Committee made a recommendation.
Gene, for 5 years, these roofs were scheduled to be replaced in 2022. Just like the Board of Directors was shocked by the Surfside failure, so was I, and so was the Finance Committee. There's at least 3 major events last year that totally changed the Finance Committee's perspective regarding these 19 roofs. Surfside, I appreciate the comparisons of the character of the buildings and the geographic location. But to me and our committee, the real message from Surfside is those board of directors were advised of delayed maintenance and didn't do anything. We felt overwhelmed to advise our committee of significant deferred maintenance, and they need to be replaced immediately. Those roofs were put on in 1988 with a 20-year warranty. They're going on the 34th year now. If you really think there's somebody out there that is certified or licensed to inspect roofs, they'll put their name on the warranty for 2 more years. I suggest you get a good copy of their errors and omission insurance.
Wait, we're discussing, we didn't get on to the finance report. We're still doing this.
You know what? You didn't consider me or the Finance Committee with the previous plan. And again, I find myself at the tail end of the agenda. So I'm just taking the opportunity to make everybody here aware. Do I need to read the 19 buildings?
The finance committee request is next. It's number 5, that's it. Okay.
Anyway, back to the engineer's report. The $1,000 building to just inspect them is $46,000 more. That money could actually be used to do repairs. What I would suggest, and of course this all has to go to the attorney, etc., is that we hire this engineer company to be the ones that oversee the work. They are the ones who are going to determine what work needs to be done in each building. They're going to be responsible for hiring the contractors and making sure it is being done to these specifications. as Bob pointed out, well aware, the board is now aware that there is a problem. Well, you're not just sitting on your hands and doing nothing. So, this is gonna be a work in progress.
I believe at the last meeting, you mentioned, and in fact, I saw the guys that were going up to the second floor porches, and if I'm correct, and I might be wrong, there were 104 violations. Have they corrected that? Because that's structural, and I think that's part of what you're talking about, that the second floor porches were supposed to have the carpet taken off and be examined. Where are we in process of that part of structure, please?
So there was actually 52 that had carpet. We were waiting for the engineer report, so we had a little more muscle behind us to say, you gotta get rid of it. There's a letter going out right now to all of those units saying that you must have it removed immediately. It will be re-inspected during this season. You will face either fines or us coming in and tearing out the carpet, and you will be charged for it. So that is a very serious thing. It is one of the things that they define in here that is holding moisture.
This is a little premature, but I think you, Gene, you said something about it. Now, how are you going to determine, I know he said you don't know yet, like, for instance, in our building, I'm in building 9, NILSA, building 9F, the stairs, there's like a separation between the wall and the steps. Then when I wash the steps, the water is a waterfall downstairs. I stopped because the water goes all the way through from the second floor to the first floor against the wall between the step and the wall. So like, how would you know that unless I would bring that up?
Okay, so all the steps are like that. The steps are totally separate from the brick. They're not actually connected. They don't go into the building. They are simply placed next to it, and then it's stucco and caulk that just seals that. They are two separate entities. The stairs do not go all the way through into the building. Okay? So that's on every building. It's just that yours probably needs to be recaulked or stuccoed because you're actually getting the leakage going down. Yes.
When it rains and everything, it goes right
It
straight
goes right down,
downstairs.
yes.
Yeah.
Fill in a work order.
Any other questions? Okay, as you can see, this is a work in progress. You have something else you wanted to say, Lee?
The published agenda has the roofs as the number one item in the board order.
No, it doesn't. When I got the agenda,
There is no actual agenda for a workshop meeting. It says items that will be discussed. I'm not yelling at you, Lee, I'm just yelling.
Well, let me just say, if you read right up there on that piece of paper, it says for this meeting, the first item is number one, the roofs.
It says some items that may be discussed.
Semantics.
we got a list of, the board got a list of the agenda. Listen to what I have to say. Don't be rude now, please. I listen to you. We have an agenda here that was sent to us by Chris, and that's what we're following, okay? All right, anyone else wanted to speak on this item number 4? About the engineer's report?
I just have one comment, could we make this report available so the general public could read it?
Well,
Yes. Okay, could we make this report available so that the general public could read what the engineers actually identified?
what you actually have, Chris will probably know better, is just part of the report. He gave the board members just, maybe
Synopsis? Yeah.
fifth of what it is. There's a lot of information in here. It's a very thorough report. We've been working on it. We'll address the issue and we'll keep you informed. That's all I can tell you. My way of thinking is Chris sort of didn't agree with it, but I think we should find out if there are any buildings that need work now before we start fixing them, even if it involves inspecting all the roofs. Maybe we could get some kind of shortened inspection to find out if there's any serious work that needs to be done. But we'll talk more. We've been kicking it around. There's a lot of things that we have to address, and we're doing our best. Right now, we've talked to the attorney, or Chris has talked to you now a number of times. There's things that have to be done that will be addressed and will be taken care of. There's nothing so far in the buildings that were inspected that is an emergency, so we're lucky there. But there are pictures of holes and cracks that need to be fixed before they get wider and become more of a problem. So we're working on it, okay? And we'll keep you informed, like I said. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. On the list, the Finance Committee requests to begin repairing the replacements of the building roofs. Microphone.
Microphone. Get the microphone.
What was that item? Number 5, okay, number 5. Testing, all right?
Yeah.
I think we...
Where's the wireless?
Wireless mic.
Is the wireless mic?
Seems to be...
Keep that off unless somebody needs it.
You're standing right under the speakers, you can't do that.
Okay, we received a letter from the Finance Committee. Actually sent 2 letters by Lee. Okay.
Push it down, push it down.
Keep moving it on.
Sorry.
That's where it needs to be.
Our Finance Committee has sent 2 letters to the board recommending we begin roof repairs and replacement immediately. I will read both letters as requested by Lee. Although some of it is redundant, we'll read them both. Okay, this is the first one that was sent December 4th. The reason why we didn't talk about it when we had that meeting, I think the meeting was on December 4th or something like that, December 6th. We received it late. By the time I got it, it was too late to put on the agenda. Okay, Board of Directors, Monterey Yacht and Country Club. Dear board members, committees are a valuable tool for Board of Director members when you have the right people with the right skills set and clear understanding of the committee's charge. Committees are tasked with making recommendations to the board. The committee must ensure that it has the necessary resources to make the appropriate recommendations. Having a board liaison serving on the committees is important to ensure that the board's overall objectives are not lost in the committee's work. Had the Finance Committee been included in open discussions prior to the decision to request property owners to vote on using Florida State required roofing reserve funds to be transferred to outside infrastructure to finish the ponds, we would have expressed the importance of those funds being used for their exact purpose, which is replacing 19 roofs. These 19 roofs are now 33 years old with known deterioration and need to be replaced immediately. The estimated cost and replacement is $47,000 each. Total is $893,000. The funds are in the roofing reserve account. Our insurance and liability costs have again increased this year, and finding insurance companies that are not requiring regular building inspections due to the age of the community will make it more and more difficult to secure insurance moving forward, especially in lieu of the building collapse in Miami. We feel that it is important to be proactive with the maintenance and repair of buildings and roofs instead of reactive. Hence, the importance of using the roofing reserve account funds for which they were collected. With this letter, the Finance Committee is requesting that the board accepts this letter as our formal recommendation to begin the roof replacement work immediately for replacement of the identified 19 roofs and the cost of replacement be paid from the roofing reserve accounts. The 19 roofs are listed as following. I might as well finish it up. The 19 roofs are listed as follows: 8, 9, 14, 15, 16, 17, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 41, 42, 49, 46, 47, 48. Signed, thank you, Lee Camel and the committee. That was the first letter we received. The second one's dated January 8th. Received it on Sunday, this past Sunday. Board of Directors, Monterey Yacht and Country Club. Subject, confirming replacement date in the roof reserve account for Monterey type roofs to 2022. Replace Monterey type 1 roofs to correct deferred maintenance. Dear board members, the Finance Committee respectfully requests that our letter dated December 4th, 2021, as well as this letter dated January 8th, be read officially into the minutes of the Board of Director meeting scheduled for January 11th, 2022. The Finance Committee formally recommended to the Board of Directors in its letter dated December 4th, 2021, that work begin immediately, thereby revising the roofing reserve account replacement year to 2022. Immediately following the 19 roofs whose warranties expired 13 years ago, they are specifically buildings, those are the buildings I just mentioned before. The estimated cost of replacing these roofs is at $47,000 per building, which has an overall cost of $893,000. These funds are presently in the roofing reserve account. I know this is all redundant to the previous one but it was requested that we read both of the letters. These 19 roofs were installed in 1988 with a 20-year warranty and are now entering their 34th year. They must not be allowed to reach the point of possible failure. It is no doubt that all 19 of these roofs are long past the point of routinely warranting their condition. While they may not all be replaced in 1 year, any delay now puts them all at much greater risk. Should roofs begin to fail, it would likely be too late to minimize the impact on both personal circumstances, such as having to vacate the property on short notice, and especially water damage on personal property that can never be replaced. It is also very possible that the insurance reimbursement for water damage of property due to improperly maintained roofs could be challenged by the insurance companies of the complex as well as the insurance of individual owners. We understand that previous assessments dealing with the roof reserve account minimize the potential risk of having 19 building roofs 13 plus years past warranty. Our perspective has changed due to the following recent events: the collapse of Surfside, the general inflation, the changing construction economy that has resulted in longer delivery times, higher material prices and labor shortages, and increases in insurance costs now reflected in our current fees, and possible increases enhanced by out-of-date condition of our building roofs. We appreciate your commitment to the welfare of the community. It is a heavy responsibility for the Board of Directors to provide as possible a safe environment for all our residents and a protection of their personal property. Respectively, submitted on behalf of the Finance Committee, Lee Gamble, Chair, and then goes on to list the financial members supporting the December 4th recommendation to replace the roofs as Lee Gamble, Bruce Marshall, Kenny Parker, Catherine Bolsh, Vicki Mullen, and Artie Haviland. finance member not in favor of replacing the roofs at this time is Victor Browse, committee member and liaison to the Board of Directors. And that's the second letter. Now, just my few thoughts on it. You know, the roofs are scheduled to be repaired in 2024. They have been scheduled to repair. There is money in our reserves to do this project. These roofs were inspected by the insurance company less than 2 years ago in 2020. No leaks issues were found that needed to be addressed. Why should we spend money to fix something that recently has been inspected and there is no immediate faults that need to be addressed? And now I'm going to turn it over to Chris and let him elaborate on his response.
Well, I think we should go first.
Okay, it's fine with me.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, because I have been patiently while we went through a lot of issues where we don't have money, and this is an issue that we do have.
One second, Lee. Let him see if he can adjust it.
Is that okay now? I put it in my mouth. Is that better?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I think that it should be clarified regarding what you just said about the 2024 date. The Finance Committee sets these dates for replacement for the roofs, and it's a part of the workbook. From the years 2016 through 2020, the replacement date had been this year, 2022. I acknowledge that we had sometimes minimized the condition of those roofs, but conditions change. Those three things I mentioned. Surfside, a minute ago I pointed out, Surfside caused our board to hire an engineer. The inflation, the cost of whatever, it dramatically changed our perspective on these roofs. Now, when we sent that letter on December the 12th, in essence, I don't know how it could be read any other way, but in essence, the Finance Committee revised the date. Wait a minute.
You said December 12th, you sent the letter on...
I'm sorry, it's December 4th. I beg your pardon. 12/4. I thought this meeting was going to be yesterday. So at 12, the first letter you read on 12/4, the last paragraph effectively revised the Finance Committee's date of replacement of these roofs to this year, immediately. The Finance Committee sets those dates. We changed it then. So to hold on to a date that was put in the spring of last year to 2024 is a misunderstanding of who sets these dates. So I just ask you as a perspective, what if one of these roofs failed? Would you say, oh my goodness, we can't change them because we have a replacement date of 2024? I wouldn't think so. So, of course not. So we're saying to you that that date is, again, a speculative date. Please understand, we're trying to recommend replacement for items that go out 20 or 30 years, or at the Mansard's 50 years. It has a high level of speculation to make the best estimate you can. The board, the Finance Committee, I mean, these letters are not just from me. I'm chairman of the Finance Committee, so the letters are from every member of the Finance Committee, and every member of the Finance Committee participated in those letters. One other comment, I guess, since we've spoken back and forth over this, I mentioned yesterday to Victor, because it had come to me as I contacted Victor regarding the second letter that you received, an indication of having the roofs inspected. So I said, well, if you feel like I can't imagine needing it. I mean, the roof's 34 years old. They only had a 20-year warranty. I mean, they got to be awfully, there's got to be, we know that there's deferred maintenance. We know that there's deterioration in these roofs. So if you just have to inspect somebody, none of these roofs were considered in that engineering report. just call up the engineer and ask them what would be their professional recommendation regarding a continued use of a 30-year-old roof, a membrane roof, fiber type, that only had a 20-year warranty. They wouldn't have to come out, I don't think, to give you just a professional recommendation. So you'd have that recommendation plus that of the Finance Committee. Now, as far as the inspection, I wasn't here, but it's interesting that the insurance claim and replaced 11 roofs, all of them happen to be GeoGuard protected roofs. That's just a random observation. The damage to the roofs was from a windstorm that it appeared to have blown debris out of the trees, and it rolled across the roofs and punctured them. All of the buildings along the third pond were part of that, 25, whatever that list is. But if you just look on the site plan, all of those buildings along Pond 3 happen to be in that line. There were others in that line. When the 11 roofs were replaced by the engineer, by the insurance company primarily, I don't recall exactly. I believe that payment was about $370,000. We wound up nearly $500,000. There was $4,500 per building average material that could not be reused, some of the flashing to the roof to the mansards, and normal materials underneath the membrane that you wouldn't know. I use the expression, to use the word inspect is a misnomer. The best you can do is make an observation. You don't know what you have. To use an expression of one of our committee members, it's like having a can out of a grocery store. You don't know whether you got beans or, if there's not a label on that can, you don't know if you got beans or soup. You really don't know what you have in these roofs until you take them off. But we do know, I've got 20 some odd pictures. We do know that the flashing around them is rotted. There's a picture we took one picture on building 30 on their Canter Highway side. It's just totally rotted. Just hold it out. You can walk around and look at these, and the corners where the flashing goes together, it looks like it's got 2 tubes of caulking protecting that corner. There are places along the way you can say, is it too dark or is it rotted out? You just don't know. But my earnest plea to protect, we went over it in there. Our concern is protection of the owners and their properties, and any failure impacts the entire association. It's been years of adjustments and planning to accumulate $893,000 to replace these roofs. We urge the board to vote to replace these roofs immediately before there is any risk of failure.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'll turn it over to Chris now. He can respond. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes?
I'm Kathy Martinson in Building 30, that he just spoke of. My roof did...
Yeah, but we're not finished here with the board and Chris's response. Then there'll be responses from Chris. We allowed Lee to respond because he wrote the letters. You'll get your chance, but still the board has to speak right now. Answer his... you want to take it, Chris?
Not really, because I don't want to argue with him. Lee is correct. We do have the money in there. And over the years, we have extended the life of numerous items, not just roofs, but other items. And that has been up to the discretion of the Finance Committee, myself, board members, reports from people that have inspected these items, where, yes, they are out of warranty. We have numerous items throughout the community that are out of warranty, but we have no intention on replacing them. They're still being used every day. Not having a warranty just means that the manufacturer will not pay for any material defects. I agree with Lee. Nobody's going to come in and inspect these and extend the warranty, but they may come in and say, you're going to get another 3 years out of that roof. Lee and I have worked very closely in the last 2 or 3 years. We've been on every single roof in this place. And up until that letter of December 4th, it was never mentioned to me that we should start doing the roofs immediately. News to me when I saw that letter. There's a lot of speculation in the letter. There's the what ifs and the possible failures, and should the roof begin to fail? And what if it doesn't? Do we fix it now because we have the money, or do we fix it when it actually needs to be done because we are having problems? Because right now, to those 19 roofs, there are no reported leaks, other than Mrs. Martinson, perhaps, at the corner of the building, which we are well aware of, and I did find a place that makes that metal. Again, I don't want to, it's not like I'm against doing roofs, but I have been told this by numerous people: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is something that we can extend the life. The longer we extend it, the more life we get out of these roofs, the more money we actually put in our coffers. Yes, right now, we are in a huge building boom. 100% agree with it. We're in an inflationary period right now, maybe due to COVID, okay? There is materials and labor shortages and things like that right now. Who's to say that that's going to be the same in 2024 when we extended the life of these roofs till? And not being, I don't want to sound degrading or mean to anyone, but honestly, Lee, other than you, what do any of the committee members actually know about our roofs? That you're saying that the entire committee is on board with this. What do they actually know about our roofs? Hang on, please. If an inspection was done, not just you and me, if we had an inspection done and somebody came in and said, yeah, these roofs have had it, 100% I'm with you, they need to be done. But just even you and me saying, or me even saying that they don't need to be done. This is my guesstimate from working here for 16 years. That's what I'm basing this on. If the board wants to hire an inspection company that is not either one of the suppliers, obviously, we don't want someone from Siemens or someone from John Manville doing it, it's going to be an outside inspector, and they say these roofs need to be replaced, I'm 100% with the finance committee. But to just say that the finance committee is recommending this, that, by the way, when were these meetings held? I'm the manager, I knew nothing about them. That's my spiel on that. I just don't know, where it all came from. It seems like it came about when the board wanted to transfer money from the reserve account. That this is what this is stemming from. That the committee now feels we got to get these roofs done right away because the board's going to take money from us. My opinion only.
Okay, look. We tried to address the events that severely altered our perspective regarding the delay. That was clearly stated in that letter. The Finance Committee as a whole, everybody contributed and was considered. It took us 3 or 4 days of communication back and forth. The first letter truly was in response to transferring funds. And my first conversation with you on Monday, I read about that in the chip shots. Mm-hmm. You would think, and as you said, gee, I guess we should have asked you about that before we spent all that time considering changing money from what it was designated for to something else, which I heartily agreed and told you at that date that I objected strongly to not using the money for its designated purpose. Which
And I strongly disagreed, and we agreed to disagree.
Disagree.
My response is, and my responsibility, Chris, is not to you.
Correct, I agree.
My responsibility as chairman of the Finance Committee is to the Board of Directors. I've made every honest effort to put forward the opinion, not just of mine, but every member on that. You consider that in producing a document or a letter like this, where we've got one member in Canada and one member in Boston and 3 here, it takes time in emails and phone calls and whatever to pursue. Under the initial circumstances, and even to date, it's not practical for us to try to call a meeting here. But we certainly have had tremendous communication. And our communication was to prepare these letters to communicate to the board, Chris. We already knew your position, so it wasn't necessary to involve your permission. We had already agreed to disagree.
No, that was for transferring the money. That was not bringing up doing all 19 roofs at one time immediately.
Chris, since 2016, you and I have scheduled these roofs to be replaced in 2022. And if you want to go back to the inspections of Todd Rocktis, or how you pronounce that, or 2014, 2016, believe me, I've read those. I've compared his pictures to the pictures you and I took last year. It is only an observation. You can't take that report of his finger on or circle around a particular fractured point of the surface.
100%, great.
And the pictures that we took. But you and I stood up there and said there are so many mysteries on these roofs that can't be explained, and the schedule had been to replace them. The events of Surfside, a board not either acknowledged or being advised of deferred maintenance, I can't sleep on that. It's absolutely a concern for the financial responsibility of the community, the individual's safety, and their personal property. Again, I really encourage the board, recognize the Finance Committee, consider the 2024 date. We changed that date with that letter of 2012, and we urge you to recognize that the money has been accumulated for 6 years. It is not one of those projects we don't have money for. There's no gain in, what if the inflation rate of 10%, that could be $5,000 a building. That could, time you get done in 2 years, it's not, those likely aren't going to be changed in 1 year. It may take a couple of years or 3 years. You add inflation to the cost of it, our budget could be shot.
All right, thank you, Lee.
I have a couple of questions.
We're gonna, just a second. We're gonna do the board first on the comments, and then we'll take questions from the, start off from you, Tom.
Okay, if these roofs are in the condition that Lee thinks they're in, I totally agree that they should be a priority for us to look into. And I think that they should be inspected by an outside group, as Chris said, to make sure that we are not dealing with a catastrophe that may happen. If a roof falls in, it's going to be a problem.
Get close to the microphone, okay.
Before you do, I want to just, like Tom just said, if a roof falls in. When we replace these roofs, all we do is replace a PVC membrane. It's a piece of plastic, rubberized PVC that's about this thick, okay? All they do is tear the old one off, and they put a new one of these down and mechanically fasten them to the existing deck. We are doing absolutely nothing to the roofs that bring these up to hurricane code. We are not bringing them to Miami-Dade. We are not adding hurricane strips. We are not changing the slope of the roofs. You are doing nothing that will prevent anything but a leak. So to say that by replacing this membrane is going to stop a catastrophe from happening is false.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and I wish Lee had not left for that, because we are not doing a major overhaul of these roofs.
Okay.
Simply the membrane. Okay? I think out of the 11 roofs that they just did, they had to replace 1 sheet of plywood. 1.
Thank you, Chris, because that's what I was going to ask you about the hurricane. What damage did they find underneath? That may be a catastrophe that we need to replace. And all that you just said, membranes. Thank you.
Now, Lee and I have recognized that the scalloped edging does have to be replaced. There are numerous places where we see that, okay? Now, I interrupted the board, but I wanted to get that out there only because of the statement. I think they're going to finish first, Catherine. That you, I figured, yes.
Lorraine.
I kind of lost my train of thought here. All right, when we did the operating budget, and it was approved on December 6th, Lee's letter is dated December 4th. When we were given the reserve budget to work on in November, when we were doing all the numbers, we did what we would always do whenever we get a report or a summary from the Finance Committee saying, okay, this is how much you need to add to your budget. At that time, I asked Chris, and he and Lee said, we could probably get another year or so on the roofs, and therefore, this is all that they wanted to present to add to our budget. My feeling is, yes, 19 roofs were projected to be done. Now they're projected to be done 2024. It's not to say they're not going to be done in 2023. My feeling is we need to have outside contractor inspect the roof and let us know which ones to be done, and we will do them. I don't feel we need to replace roofs that do not need to be replaced, especially if we're only replacing the membrane. I am not a contractor, I am not a roof expert, but I would not have my roof or my house done unless I got a leak or felt it needed to be redone. And I'm sure a lot of you do the same. So my opinion is, yes, we will have them inspected, hopefully, we'll have them inspected. If we're told 10 of them need to be replaced, we will replace them. But if we're told, oh, you can get another year out of this, we'll postpone it for a year. So, I mean, that's our duty as a board. You just heard today all the things that need to be addressed and the money that is required to do all that. We have not even finished doing the ponds, which was approved by the board 4 or 5 years ago, and it was supposed to be a 5-year plan, but due to hurricane and other circumstances, we didn't want to assess the people too much money. So, yes, there's a lot of work. And the ponds need to be done because there's a lot of deterioration, particularly around the buildings. So we don't want any more sinkholes, and in order to prevent that, we have got to get the ponds done. To me, that was number one. We need to work on the buildings. Already, we're in touch with our attorney. He's going to guide us. We are going to work on it and come up with a solution. But again, it's all special assessments. Reserves are for routine maintenance of your property. A pond is not a routine maintenance. So really, we have to special assess, and we really need to prioritize, as Diane said. There's a lot of things that need to be done. We're old, and we need to address them, and we will address them.
Thank you, Lorraine. Kim?
I agree with both Tom and Lorraine. I think that the first thing in regard particularly to the roofs is they need to be inspected by an outside company, and then we can make a decision, because both sides have very good information that they're sharing with us. So I think we need somebody who's not biased to help us make this decision.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
There's no side. I'm not on a different side.
No, okay, that was a bad choice of words.
These roofs need to be done.
They'll be done.
100% and I agree. The money's there.
I know.
If a roof this minute we found out needed to be replaced, we have the money in place. It's not like the ponds or the windows or the inspections of the buildings. We do have that money in place. 100% agree. If they need to be done, I'm all for it. I've seen 35 of these roofs replaced during my tenure. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm fighting not to replace roofs if they're needed.
I'm sorry if I insinuated that, but I think that gives, no, I know. I'm okay with it.
I think people think I'm yelling at them. I'm not.
But I think it just leads more credence to the fact that we need somebody outside to inspect the roofs.
We need a second opinion.
Yep. All right, Diane?
Okay, I have a couple of comments. One, I think that the very first letter was deferred out of respect to Mr. Gamble because he was not here to be able to answer any of the questions or to explain his thought process. So I don't think it was an intentional overlook or...
If I may, Diane, the agenda was posted. That was a regular board meeting. The agenda was posted. I had talked to Chris about it, and the changes just aren't made once it's posted. Okay?
I learn something new every day.
And I talked to him about it, so.
My second question is, and again, I may misunderstand this, but I'm under the impression that the insurance rate that we pay is really based on the country's tragedies that happen, not necessarily Monterey's tragedies that happen.
True.
So we are paying for the Miami collapse of the building. We are paying for the snow emergency in Texas. We are paying for a number of things. So I'm not quite sure how that fits into the reasons for why we shouldn't do something.
Okay.
Or
Thank
should
you.
do something.
Thank you. Pam?
I have a couple of comments. I have questions and comments. If Lee said he had pictures, why were these not brought forward at a meeting? Because I was at the meeting he was at when they had discussed the fact that they had been on every roof. If there are pictures and he determined that these needed to be replaced, why were we waiting? That I just can't grasp. That if the committee agreed to 2024, why all of a sudden? Because the reasons that he gave, with the exception of the collapse of Surfside, which is a given because it collapsed, but our buildings are different. It doesn't necessarily affect us as a reason to have to replace the roofs. General inflation, his reasonings are speculative at best. Like Chris said, why fix it if it ain't broke? We need to identify. I mean, he's got 19 buildings listed. Are we expected to go in and replace all 19 at the same time, or is it a over a span of a year, 2 years, 3 years? I don't quite understand the urgency to do 19. Maybe it's just because I don't understand.
I think and this is on Lee's behalf, the 19 roofs that they're questioning are the original fiber-tight roofs that were installed in 1988. I'm sure that's where the reasoning is coming from.
Okay.
The additional 6, I think, that are left had this coating called GeoGuard that extended the life expectancy of those particular roofs. So I think that's where that 19 is coming from.
Anything else?
Thank you. No.
Vic?
Well, first, the December 4th letter, I was not included. My name is not on that letter. Nobody,
I'm just saying my name is not on that letter. I was never notified or anything until I received it. Lee did give me an advance copy of the last letter out, and I had no problem with it, and he did notate on the bottom that I disagreed with the findings. I do agree with everything that's been said here. If they need fixed, we need to fix them. The money's there. But I do think, and I told Lee this and he understood, I think they need to be inspected again. If we can get 1 year, 2 years out of them before we spend the money to do it. We're not experts. We don't know about, we don't work with it every day. Even Chris, as involved as he is, he's not an expert on it. Giving another example of something we pushed down the road, this is our swimming pool. It was supposed to be completely redone about 5 years ago. We had pool company come in and inspect it, said there's nothing wrong with it right now. We had it acid washed. We're getting more time out of it. Eventually, yes, we will have to drain the pool and redo the service completely. It doesn't need it now, so we're not doing it. We're saving that money as we go along. My recommendation would be to have them inspected and go accordingly. How long does it take to do a roof?
So they did what? I think 11 buildings is what the insurance company paid for, and it took us about 15 months to complete 11 roofs.
So a little over a year. So we're talking 2 years.
Let's say almost 2 months a roof. Almost 2 months a roof.
So it's going to take us about 2 years to do all the roofs.
Easily for 19.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Yeah.
Even if we, maybe if we did it a year early, the money's there.
Money's there.
But why spend the money if you don't have to? Analogy I was given the other day, somebody I was talking to, I need a new set of tires on my car. They still have like 5,000 miles on them. Why buy them now, even though I have the money to buy them right now? Why buy them now? Let me get my 5,000 miles use out of them before I spend the money. The same analogy fits here, I believe.
Okay, thanks, Vic. I'll just say this. You know, we've been kicking around for a while, talked with Chris quite a bit, and I'm going to defer to Chris on this, or not defer, but mention that I feel no one knows more about these roofs on this planet than Chris. You know, we could get them inspected, but Chris has been up there in the beams and whatnot. We had these roofs inspected just a couple of years ago. All right, you want to get them inspected again, it's an expense, okay? Do we need to do it? There's no leaks, there's no problems. I mean, of course, the roofs are old. They're probably going to be, you know, done just in a couple of years. But there's no reason to do it now, as far as I can see, because we have no problems with them. And they were just inspected by the insurance about 2 years ago.
How often is it recommended they be inspected?
We usually have an inspector come in when we know a bunch of roofs are due.
Uh-huh.
I think Lee had just mentioned we actually did them I think we did them in 14 and 16. And then after we had the hurricane, they sent down an inspector and he went on every single roof. The insurance company.
So it looks like every 5 or 6 years, you know?
About every 4, unless we have a project coming up. Now,
Yeah.
for instance, we knew these 19s are scheduled for 2024.
Yeah.
They were all going to be inspected in the beginning of 2023. If the inspector said, hey, these 8 need to be done right away,
Yeah.
you do them.
Right.
If he said, look, you can get another 1 year, 2 years out of any of the roofs, then we defer those roofs and we extend the life expectancy. This is not just based on just me and Lee going on roofs. You know, I don't have, he thinks I'm God, I guess. I don't know, I'm not. You know, this is just things that we can observe, go on past history, go on if there's leaks, if there's rotted, if there's things like that. I mean, Lee and I actually did repairs when we were on the roofs. If we found a hole in the membrane, we patched it right then and there, Lee and I. So they need to be inspected if you're thinking about doing roofs earlier, or extending them even more. Someone in the profession has to tell us that.
Someone has, we need to have them inspected,
Yes.
so we know, do they need repair right now, or can we get another year out of them? You know, I don't object to having the roofs done, but I think we need, as I said, a second opinion.
Yep. What's the cost on, just
Can-
one
can
second.
I ask the
one second,
question,
One
uh,
second,
oh,
one
sorry.
second, please. To inspect all 19 roofs, what's the cost?
I think the last time we got it inspected, they were about 300 each.
Okay, it's a doable thing.
Let's even say 500 each. So there's 20 of them, that's still what? That's 10 grand.
Okay,
I have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
all right, did you want to say something?
Diane's got a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, I had flight of ideas, so I do have one more question. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I do have one more question because I have flight of ideas and an idea just flew in my head. That's supposed to be a joke, folks. To lighten the room. When I read the engineering report, I didn't see any roofs that were identified as potential problems. Did I miss something?
No, there were no roofs identified in that report. Lee is correct. The 19 that they are recommending be done, none of them were actually inspected, but 2 of the ones that have that old GeoGuard were inspected. And there was no mention in the engineer's report regarding roofs at all. And they were told to inspect them. They inspected roofs, doorways, window, they inspected everything. They were not mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You were going to say something before, would you like to?
The only thing I was gonna say, that I did have a leak in my roof. And Chris and the guys from inside came and worked on it. And they sealed it, I guess, but that's a temporary fix. So, but I never heard anything about having my roof redone. I haven't heard anything about that, because I'm looking to make sure.
Yes, you would be one of these ones in
Well,
question.
I hadn't heard that until right now.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if something's, because I keep looking to see if it's gonna leak again, because it's already leaked once.
Couldn't we just go forward with inspections? And if it's necessary, then do it?
Sure, we could.
Rather-
Catherine?
Chris mentioned that the insurance company, when they came due to the damage from the hurricane or tornado, inspected all of the roofs or just the 11?
No, they inspected all of the roofs.
Did they provide you with a report other than just replacing the 11th? Did they provide you with a report and a recommendation?
No. We originally, after the hurricane, put in a request for only 2 roofs. That was Building 35 and Building 38. They sent their own insurance adjuster out, and they inspected every single roof, and they added the other 9. Besides the ones that we saw that had enough damage, they added the other 9, but they did not give us a written actual report of everything they found on every single roof. They just identified the 11 that they felt received enough damage during the hurricane that they warranted replacement of the membrane.
So my next question is, if it costs $2,500 to have the engineering report that you just had on those 5 specific buildings, do you think that it would be necessary? Because to be honest with you, with my background, have worked with appraisal reports and insurance reports and engineering reports. And they will always come back in the fine print basically telling you that if the roof has expired its warranty, and it has, because these roofs are since 1988, I know myself as a personal homeowner, if my roof was 34 years old, I would do preventive change of my roof before any serious water damage happened. So I think that is the goal, that this whole purpose is that We're looking at the well-being of every single homeowner here. And those 19 roofs are 34 years old. It's going to take another 2 years just to even get the process done. By time you have the report, by time you do the bidding process, by time you start the work. So what we're asking is that the date of 2024 that was put out there, it's just a date, and they have modified, the Finance Committee has modified that date and made the recommendation to you all to make sure that there's not going to be a catastrophe. Maybe there will be. But what we're saying is leaks happen, just like Kathy said. It happened in my building, and my building isn't even on the list, and thank you, Chris, for going up there and fixing it.
You're welcome.
So, well, I emailed you that as well.
I know.
But what we're saying is, you have all set up, the boards, since 50 years, have set up committees to help you in your decision-making. And this is all that we are trying to do, is to help you in the decision-making. And we all know that you have the well-being of this community at heart. And if you're going to govern by committee, please, seriously, seriously consider the recommendation and the expertise from that committee. I'm just saying, I'm replacing Lee here, and I'm just saying what he would say. So thank you.
I'm sorry, I apologize to the board.
Yes. Jim?
Yeah. Let me correct a couple of misconceptions. One from the Finance Committee's representative. We, the owners, started the Finance Committee. If you don't believe me, look in the documents. It says there shall be a Finance Committee to advise the board. We did that, us owners. We also started a board did, split the Finance Committee to make the Planning Committee because there was too much work doing studies and things. And you can see just from the amount of things that came up at this meeting that you can't just do it as it goes along. It's got to be planned. That's what the Planning Committee's for, and that's what I mentioned before. The board bypassed two of their committees, one which we, the owners, said that we didn't say you have to follow their advice, but you have to have it to advise you. You bypassed those. You should pay attention to what they're doing. Lee spent hours every year for years working on roofs. You just can't decide you're going to take his $800,000 out of that account. And I never said that you couldn't borrow it. I said you're taking it from the wrong account in the wrong way. If you'd have asked me when I was speaking the last time, I'd have told you how to do it. Chris, going back, we had a system set up where all the roofs, when we felt that they were getting old, not just out of warranty, when they were getting old, we inspected them all, and the money was built into the reserve account to do that. But we did it 2 years in advance by a roof specialist. And the reason we did it in advance was because if the roofs are that bad that they need replaced, some of them might be bad enough to do it now. Some of them may be pushed out. Like Chris says, it takes a couple of years to do all that. If you start right now inspecting the roofs, you can't replace one in a normal manner of business before the end of the year, in my opinion. And, you know, it's something that needs to be started now. You can't wait. And you have two committees that you really ought to take advantage of. One of them, we said that you should listen to their advice at least.
We are listening. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, but you didn't talk to either of those committees last summer when you decided to transfer money from one account to another, which you shouldn't do anyhow.
That's over and done with.
But you could have still borrowed the money from the reserves if you got it from the right account.
That was,
It's done, this
Yeah.
is passed.
Does anyone else want to speak on this? If not, Kim had to leave, sorry about that. I'm going to take a 5 or 10 minute break, and then we've got 3 things to go over, should be pretty quick. Special assessment.
Let's
for the
continue.
ponds.
I say continue.
Yeah, let's continue.
Let's continue.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
All right, now, the roofs, we're gonna,
It's gonna be on the agenda, so you guys can actually tell me what you want me to do.
Okay.
If you want to inspect all 19, they're all the same age roof.
All
If we
right.
took a sampling, let's say we do half of them,
Mm-hmm.
that would give us a pretty good idea of what all of them would need.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And if they find 5 out of the 10 need to be replaced, then we
Start
have
replacing.
the other 9 also
Yeah.
inspected.
yeah, okay, we start
That's
replacing.
just an opinion,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
that's something, I think you can do a sampling of them and get going on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if they're told we have to, again, yes, we have the money available.
Right,
We can immediately go out to bid. We know what has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Lee did a hell of a job with all these stands and all the other stuff. We know what has to be done.
what would you think the time frame would be to get someone to inspect them?
Well, I'll put some calls out already so
Yeah.
that I have some people and figures for you guys at the actual board meeting when you would be voting on it.
All right, and we need, every time we have a board meeting, I think we need to update everyone on the status.
going on,
On the status.
Yep.
Yeah.
Suggestion here, what we could do is have a guaranteed vote among the board members. Once Chris gets some information, if we get 100%, we can move on it without having a meeting.
Right.
To have
It's gonna take me that long to get it. You're only talking 2 weeks from today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. No, I'm not talking this board
Yeah,
meeting.
no.
Yeah.
No, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Ron?
Yeah, I just wanted to say Lee and Chris are both a great asset to this community.
They are.
100%.
100%, yes.
I mean, not me, I'm saying for Lee.
Lee is doing a fantastic job.
Again, I don't wanna think that this is something that it's me and Lee doing this, because it's not.
But all these committees do a lot of work, they do a lot of hard work, and they try to keep the community going. I mean, and that's what it is. I mean,
Yes.
but I mean, these roofs are important things. The money is there, we can do them anytime, like you said.
Yes.
It's not like we have to get the money together.
Yeah.
All
No,
right,
it isn't.
Moving on to number 6, special assessment to fund the remaining ponds that need to be repaired. At last month's meeting, it was established that a special assessment will be taken this year to fund 2 of the remaining ponds, Pond 8 and Pond 25. We have been verbally notified recently that our pond contractor will be able to start and finish to restore these ponds in this year of 2022. We need to start the assessment soon, that when the contractors are ready to start work, we will have the funds for the initial payment. Special assessment for these ponds will be about $350 per condo. I'll ask Lorraine to elaborate a little bit on it. She knows
Yeah,
more about this.
well, I just know about special assessment and money. Yes, it is time, as I mentioned before, we voted to take care of our ponds, mainly because we want to protect the buildings, but not only that, we want to protect our land. And we definitely need to protect the buildings. So I am going to recommend that we do pond number 8 and number 25. As Jean said, the contractor has, the one that we used said he could do it within this year, do both ponds. I think Chris is going to go out to bid again to the other 2 bidders, or 3, I don't know how many. So we'll go out to bid, but in order for us to say yes, as soon as we get a proposal, the board votes on it and says go, we need the money. So I am going to propose at the next board meeting that we have a special assessment to do Pond 8 and Pond 25. The estimate, we don't have any amounts, the estimate to do that is probably about 175,000. We will set up a special reserve account for ponds only. The money will go into that account, and the bills for the ponds will come out of that account. Any money left over will remain there for the future ponds. And if we're short, well, the next assessment, you're going to have to pay a little more. So that is why I would like it on the agenda.
Okay. Tom?
I'll second that. I totally agree with that.
Absolutely. Diane?
I agree.
I agree.
Vic?
Me as well.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, we got to put it on the agenda then for the meeting. Got it. Okay, anyone want to speak on that? Good, okay. Number 7 on the agenda is the resident request for a pool chair lift. The request from Diane Mueller about the lift. I'm going to read a letter again. It's not a long letter, so we might as well just get right into it. Dear Mr. Ferretti, President of the Board of Directors, one of our community's main amenities is our lovely pool. People gather there for a variety of healthy reasons: swimming, socialization, sunshine and fresh air, refreshment, and aerobic and non-aerobic exercises. As we age, we are increasingly at risk for loss of balance, weakness, and injury. Using the pool should be easily accessible for all residents. Unfortunately, it is not. Having been recently diagnosed with a neurodegenerative disease, I am very aware of the benefits of using the pool and the difficulties encountered entering and especially exiting the pool. The stairs severely limit residents from utilizing the pool. There are persons who have given up on enjoying the pool. I have observed other people ascending the stairs with difficulty. Compared to the steps leading to the main entrance of the clubhouse with the pool stairs, the stairs of the former have lower risers, deeper treads, and making it easier to climb. In addition, the handlebar in the pool is off-center, a disadvantage for those with weakened right hands and arms. This problem could be resolved by installing portable pool lift, which safely lower and raise a person into the pool from the pool deck. Such a lift would afford more of our residents the opportunity to make use of the pool. A portable lift can be put away in case of hurricanes and other storms. I have added links to the ADA-approved lifts at the bottom of the letter. Safety is a priority here at Monterey and is taking advantage of the amenities we are so proud of. I urge you all to seriously consider or address this issue. Thank you, Diane Mueller, 15A. Okay, this was brought up, it's really about a month ago, but during the holidays we didn't have any meetings and couldn't get to it. Both portable and permanent lifts are available for consideration. We've looked into it a little bit. Chris, I, and other board members have checked out a few facts. Cost of a portable lift is between $6,000 and $8,000. Cost of a small stationary lift is probably $3,000 to $5,000. These units will be battery operated and installed, if approved, at the shallow end of the pool. Operation of the lift will need the help of others for safety in order to use it. Chris has spoken to our attorney as to the funding of this project. I'll let him elaborate on that a little bit, and we'll also talk about board members, board comments, and then decide whether we put it on the agenda for the next week, the next couple of weeks. So I'll go right to you, Chris.
Okay, so I was just asked to find out about the lifts. Do we have to, whatever. And what it reads is the Americans with Disability Act requires commercial and public pools nationwide to install an accessible means of entry into the swimming pool by anyone. We are not a public pool. So the Board of Directors does not have to put in a pool lift. It is not required by law that you put it in. It is totally up to the board if they want to pay for it, if they want to give permission to the person and that person has to pay for it, or group of people, whatever. It's basically totally a board decision.
Thank you, Chris. All right, we'll take the board's comments on it. Vic, I'll start with you.
This is a difficult decision to make. I hate to say, this is not an assisted living complex. We don't provide amenities for people with disabilities. We don't provide amenities for people who are disabled. We do try to put ways that they can use, like we have the ramp going into the pool or coming into the clubhouse here, so they don't have to use the stairs. If we had quite a few people that needed this lift, I would maybe say yes, the community should buy it. Right now, I only know of one. I hate to say I don't want to spend money just for one person, because that's not true. But I don't think it's something that we should get into at the moment.
Thank you, Vic. Pam?
I agree with Vic. This is an emotionally difficult decision to make. But I also agree that this is not an assisted living community. We do offer ways for people to assist themselves through their own purchase power. But at this time, I am not for the community purchasing a lift to get in for the pool.
Thank you, Pam. Diane?
Okay, I'm going to take the other side of the fence. I think that we have a number.
Diane, you have to eat it.
Okay. All right, here I go. I'm going to take the other side of the fence. I think that we have a number of residents here who would benefit from having a lift added to the pool, not necessarily due to their medical conditions and potential medical conditions that could happen to any of us. My major concern about this is there has to be a protocol for someone to be in the pool at the same time for safety reasons. We cannot have a potential crisis in the pool just because someone wants to swim at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's my feelings.
I too wish that we could do it. I have a handicapped daughter who's in a wheelchair, requires 24/7 care. We have been in pools where they have a chairlift and they're at resorts, different things, hotels. Every single time we wanted to take our daughter into the pool, it wasn't working. So there is an awful lot of maintenance with a chairlift. And I just feel that not only is it an expense for us, but the safety that Diane mentioned, to make sure that whomever is using it has someone with them, because it's very hard to try to use it by yourself unless you're like me that can do it. So I really don't feel that it's an expense that the board should take on now. However, if someone wants to pay for it, I think I would be willing to agree that the maintenance would fall on the board of directors.
Okay. I agree with Lorraine, but I also have a recommendation that Chris and I have discussed. The single rail entrance into the pool going down the steps is sometimes difficult for people to use. I asked Chris to look into getting a double rail so that people who are going down the steps can hold on with both hands and get in and out and have it not slanted so it's hard for people to get up and down, and perhaps that could solve the situation.
Yes.
Okay, so I did look into it, and one of the problems is the way that this rail is, it's actually located where our jacuzzi is. So the steps are not the same the whole way around. So a double rail that would be wide enough to actually be able to hold on like this would not work on our steps, unfortunately. Besides that, there's a large cost involved with that. They would actually have to drain the pool low enough to be able to core drill into the things, then install the railing, etc. So you're not looking at, with the price that I found on one of these lifts, it's not that much less if we even could do it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And I should have told you that beforehand and not waited till now. I apologize.
No problem.
Just quickly, my thoughts briefly. It is an emotional issue, and I think we should get more information on it before we move. Where it's going to be placed exactly, it'll be in a shallow end. It would possibly interfere with laps or something like that. It has to be made sure that, I think, I'm not sure a portable one would work to be taken out, to be used each time. It has to be pretty much a standard. I would like to hold on to a standard, hold on before we...
Okay, so I can answer a lot of those questions that you just asked.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I went online looking for them. So I found what it's called the Aqua Buddy 350 pool. It's called the Aqua Buddy 350 pool lift. It is would take up about 4 feet of the pool deck. It's mounted right next to the coping of the deck. It does not sit in the water when it's not being used. It's on the outside. Somebody that is truly handicapped would need somebody to assist them even using it, and then of course be in the pool with them. It's battery operated. It's stainless steel and powder coated. It would have to be in the shallow end. It would not be able to be near the stairs, so it would be on the corner over near where the rail is. The approximate cost is $3,900 plus installation, which would have to be done by a licensed company. We cannot do it in-house because if something happened and it fell in, we're the ones responsible. It's battery operated, like I said. The battery has an 18-month warranty. The battery can be removed to be charged, can be taken out if there's a storm. It's low profile, so it would not be in the way of laps. It will take up part of the pool deck. You're gonna lose probably two lounge chairs worth of space because of where it would sit. No electric, no nothing. I think somebody said that we would maintain it. We would have to maintain it. It would be just like if we allowed an elevator. It's up to the cost of the person to install. Once it's installed, Monterey would have to maintain it. It also would be for anyone who wants to use it. It can't be that, well, us five paid for it and you can't use it, you didn't chip in. Not how it works. Again, this is something that is totally up to the board of directors to allow, not allow, etc. Sorry, Jesus.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, sorry. I just want some clarification. So there's I would say definitely yes, but it's okay if somebody makes a contribution to the cost of this?
If the board decides that, yes, we're going to allow it, and 10, 20 people get together and want to chip in and do it, by all means.
Oh,
if
great.
the board approves it.
Good.
So like I said, it's $3,900, figure another $500 for installation.
Right.
Maybe around $4,500 to be installed.
Right.
And, go ahead, sorry.
I'm questioning in my head right now, what are the liabilities of the person going into the pool and also the person operating the lift for the pool? I don't want it to fall back on us.
It would not fall on us. We have liability insurance that covers anything that would happen right now anywhere on the property. As long as this is installed properly, like I said, it has to be done by a company that does this. God forbid somebody tripped on it and fell in, it's the same liability as if you tripped and fell in on your own.
Okay,
What Diane had brought up and Lorraine re-enumerated, if that's the right word, someone has to be in the pool with them.
Yeah, that
A
makes
disabled
sense.
person, and it cannot use this on their own.
that makes sense. Thank you.
Frank? Wait for the mic.
Just two questions. Would our insurance for the liability go up?
No, it's already covered.
That's already covered? Will we have a key to keep it locked so no one can use it?
Oh, it's another
That would be a safety.
Okay, so it looks as if you could add like a cable lock. It doesn't say that it has a lock that you can just, like that it's just the key that you do it. So, but it does look as if you could have a coated cable that would go around the base of it and the chair so that it could not be used.
I'm just thinking of someone else just
Yeah,
trying
I'm
to
thinking
Kid or somebody
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
and
Yes,
avoid an
that's-
accident is what I'm looking at. Thank you.
That's what they want to do.
Yes.
And taking out the battery and recharging it, who would be responsible for that? That's another thing.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a fairly easy thing to do. I really do. It's an 18 volt or 20 volt battery.
It's not
that
heavy.
comes with a
It's not a
charger.
big, heavy one.
Nope, it's like this big.
Yeah, okay.
You've seen these lithium batteries that are on these new drills.
Oh, yeah.
24 volts, they're this big. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's got an 18-month warranty
On
actually on the battery.
It's like anything else, Lorraine. We're
Okay.
responsible for maintaining it.
Once
I know.
it's in, it's ours.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to speak on it? Well, I would recommend that maybe we'll put it on the agenda for the board. There seems to be a difference of opinion. We need to get some more information and some more other stuff, and we have 2 weeks to do it. We might be able to make an educated guess on it in 2 weeks.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If this were to decided to go forward with, and somebody in the community or a group of people decided to put this in, is there going to be a point in time where it is determined that this is no longer feasible to repair? Because everything has, again, a lifespan.
A lifespan.
A lifespan. And in, say, 6 years down the road, this is no longer feasible to replace.
Okay, you do not have to replace it.
We do not have to replace it. We can pay to have it removed and discarded.
That is correct.
Okay.
And if you wanted to go to the point, you could actually make it, like, let's say only one person does actually pay for it. When and if they move from Monterey, we could make them take it away. Why would we? I don't know why, because it is just another amenity or something for the pool. I don't see why we would say, no, you're taking that with you, but that is what you're allowed to do.
Okay. Is that agreeable with the board members? You want to put it on there? There's other ways we could handle the funding, fundraiser or something like that, but we'll put it on the agenda for at the regular meeting. Okay?
And lastly, don't even worry about that one, because if Bob McCosey's correct, it's already in our docs. The last thing we were gonna talk about is amending the condo docs. Let me double check. I didn't even think you were still there. You've been so quiet lately.
Come on, Bob.
Let me-
There's two comments.
Yes.
Okay, so hang on, let me just read this real quick, Diane, I'm sorry, just because Bob just brought it. So yes, and this is my bad, thank you, Bob. In the amendment to the docs that we did, single-family residence, it is actually already in the docs. No more than 2 persons per bedroom shall be permitted to reside in any unit. We obviously did that, so that can be removed from the agenda, okay?
You get the money you saved on it?
Well, let me call Jacob and see what he's gonna charge.
All right, so, yes, Diane.
I just wanted to thank you all for considering it. I know that I'm not the only one having difficulty getting in and out of the pool. There's people who don't use it at all, And we're not the only ones. Would it help if I got a list of people who would benefit by it?
Sure, of course. You can.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you, Diane.
Gene, my opinion on that, if we had a list of,
I didn't realize about the permanent thing, and how much less it would cost. That's a good point.
Seems a better way to
like
go.
One that we could move, so let's say we didn't put it out there, and just you and Bill come up, you literally have to roll it all the way, I think a permanent one that's this small would be the better way to go and the less expensive way.
Yes.
350 pounds. Anything over that, you're not going in, and I think I'm probably the heaviest person here.
You might go in,
Well, the whole thing might go in.
All right, that's the end of the agenda.
I just have a question.
Go ahead,
It's not
Ron.
related.
Sorry.
This is a question that was addressed, this was something that was addressed in 2020. Okay, we were assessed for it in 2021, was the VFD system, the jockey pump, and the upgrade of the electrical system for the irrigation system on the golf course. I was just wondering where that stands.
Okay, so we've gone round and round and round on purchasing the VFD system. We actually purchased the pump and the VFD, gave him half the money. He's already sold it because it's been so long, so you'll have another one built. But we did get the final word from FP&L. To be able to do it, we have to pay for electric to be run under Canner Highway and put up a new pole. They cannot run it overhead, and we have to pay for it. We are working with the engineer that did the ponds, because we have to go into the county with a drawing, with everything that needs to be done, with that engineer. Mike Vespoli, myself, and the guy Bill from the Hydrodynamics, the company, are still working on that. If we can't get something going that they're going to approve, everybody has said they'll give us our money back. It's still sitting in the reserves, that's correct. That is in the outside infrastructure account, and it's all in there, and it's earmarked, it's specifically written that it's earmarked for that only.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Gene?
Yeah.
Back to talking about the lift. Diane mentioned that there are other people who could possibly use it. I think it would be very beneficial to the board if we knew that there was a half a dozen people that would use it that aren't using the pool now. I would definitely reconsider what's being said.
Well, we've got 2 weeks, and we'll get more information on it. Okay, Ron, again?
Yes.
If we can't do that, are we going to replace the jockey pump?
Yes, the jockey pump's gonna be replaced no matter what.
Okay.
Jockey pump is gonna be tied in, so it will pump out of the pond, just in
Right.
case, so we can at least water one green at a time.
Okay.
Just to elaborate a little bit more, that it's gonna be more money going under I-95. Under I-95, under Canner Highway. The pump guy said to us, well, how many times have you already replaced this? It's been 3 times since I've been here at about $16,000 every time. So he's like, do you spend the 10 grand now, go under the road, or do you wait and just replace another pump for another $16,000? So, the way he said it like that, it made sense. We bite the bullet, pay a little bit more money, and go under Canner Highway with electric. I think.
It's a one-time shot.
Okay? Yes.
Why is there no lock on the gate going into the shopping center?
The gate had to be repaired, so they had to take the lock out to repair it. So the 2 different companies, though. The lock is a locksmith, the gate is a welding company. So we had to take the lock out, the welding company's already been called to come and fix the gate, and then they will put the lock back in.
Okay, anyone else?
I just have one recommendation.
Got one more? Go ahead.
On the lift, if we could post something on 63 requesting anybody that may want to use the lift to let us know, that could be helpful.
Okay. Just because you want to not mean that you're entitled to use a lift. These are for disabled people.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you know, the disabled,
If you're,
yes,
yes.
And actually,
yeah.
Once again,
actually, we could,
I'm waiting to drop this hammer here. Anyone else?
Wait, Diane has something.
and I'm going to talk right into the mic today. I would think that we need to get a medical statement from the physician that the people actually need
Yes,
it.
yeah. Well, that's secondary once we make our decision. Last call. All right, I'll make a motion to close this meeting.
Second.
So,
Thank you, everybody, for staying this long. This was a long meeting, but we